so keep that in mind.
Yeah, hey, forget I asked.
That'll definitely do.
Ew. Join the Discord.
It was the least fun I've ever had playing this game.
A small but vibrant and extremely humble community.
No, I've seen the sleeves, but I'm like, you said you're suiting up, and then you put your sleeve on. Thank you for saying that.
Because I'm a demon on the keys.
Next thing I know, we're both dead. I immediately left the lobby.
In Vietnam.
What are they playing for? Are they playing to win?
Stay humble.
Stay humble.
We are live. I couldn't find a dumb comment to read.
Really?
In time. Yeah. What would
You're
you
saying
have
there
chosen?
wasn't a dumb comment in your chat?
Oh,
That's
there's
a first.
thousands,
That's a
probably.
first. Let's see.
What would you have picked? I couldn't find anything in time. I'm sure if I, scoured the
You're
chat.
right, actually. Maybe SP Farms Dilly Dilly. That's up there for
It's
sure.
pretty fucking dumb. I don't know what that means. For
It's
sure.
some beer thing. What is it from? Dilly Dilly. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
it's like,
matter.
It's like Bud Light saying or something. It's stupid.
That's super dumb then. So that's what I would have chosen. Welcome to the Dropshot, a Call of Duty podcast, episode number 111. My name is Casey, also known as Razanon. I am joined once again by my good friend Tanner.
What's going on, boys and girls? Ready for a banger ep?
An
Any
absolute
bangers?
banger ep. I see that Tanner, and he mentioned this in the pre-show, is wearing his Daughters Southern merchandise. A little Daughters Southern t-shirt. Yeah. An establishment out of Lexington, Kentucky. And give us a review of this shirt. How does it feel? How does it look? It's a
great shirt. If it's nice, great material, great black finish, perfect length, perfect cut on the arms, good shoulder width. It's a nice shirt, courtesy of Chef Kane and his food truck. You guys should check it out if you're in the area.
Absolutely. Shout out to Chef Kane. Thank you, dude. For sure. And so today we are doing All About Warzone Part 2. We started this on Tuesday, but Imager, maybe that's how I'm supposed to say it, .com, because a lot of people are malding.
There were a lot of malders about that.
Yeah. So imgur.com, okay, was having technical difficulties, and the program was already going pretty long, so we decided to postpone Part 2 of our All About Warzone 2021 broadcast until tonight, which is what we'll be doing now. So that is going to be very interesting. But before we get into that, a couple of announcements, one of which I'm very excited to announce. The last announcement, super excited about. But before we get there, thank you to our new patrons. And these are going to be our Goldilocks, our Goldie boys, okay? Our gold fucking patrons, dude. Alan S. and Lewis M. You love to see that. Thank you, boys. Patreon.com/thedropshot, of course. And also, welcome to... So the gold patrons, good people. Damascus patrons, which we're going to read now, better people. Better than the gold people, right? So, welcome to our new Damascus patrons. Okay. DLAN MV, which is, of course, a change it. I don't know what that means. Joel R., and Badmouth Bandit, and an upgrader who used to be a good person but is now a great person, an upgrader. You hate to see it, has upgraded to a Damascus fucking patron, dude. Let's absolutely go, boys and girls.
Big brain individuals.
Big brain, giant brain, individuals that we have there. That's a serviceable list. Patreon.com/thedropshot for bonus eps a month. Hangouts, other shit. We'll get into it. But go check it out. Best way to support the program. Now, our first announcement. The Founders fundraiser is now over. Okay. We got a last minute entry here, which I will allow. Okay. I'll allow this, but which we'll get into. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll get into it. But after this, we're not doing the Founders thing anymore. You had a year and like a month. So If you didn't get it by now, sorry. Okay? Sorry. But before, we'll get into that in a second. So, our last minute founders. Number 1, Riley B, with no note attached, donated 100 United States fucking dollars to the program. Now, Riley, no note attached. It's weird. Honestly, it's weird. Like, hey, I'm not mad about it. This is totally fine with me. But it is weird to donate a triple digit number of United States dollars with no message, you know. I would talk shit to someone if I donated them $100. At least get a dig in, you know. But there was absolutely no message, no correspondence here. However, not a problem. Not a problem. So Riley B, thank you very, very much, dude, for the $100. I appreciate it. Really procrastinating there, but you will, of course, be listed as a founder on the dropshot.com, which we'll get into in a moment. But Riley, for real, a lot of money. I really fucking appreciate you, dude. So thank you very much, dude. Also, joining the $100 last minute entry club, Jaren G, aka Iron Ranger 218, very active member of this community. Probably would have been a founder anyway. Get scammed. Also, contributing 100 United States fucking dollars to our website, Funderino. And Jaren did leave a note, and it said, not for drugs. Okay.
Damn.
Bit of a squandered opportunity there, but I'll take it. I'll fucking take it. Jaren, super involved, super supportive, brother. You know, good to have you here. Good to have you around, vibing with everyone. Telling Faces Choir and Dr. J-Web that they're dumb libs. These are all services that need to be rendered, and we appreciate you being around to render them. We appreciate that, of course. And also $100 again, not a small amount of money. So thank you very much, Jaren, for real. That's a lot of money, a lot of scratch. We really appreciate that, dude. So thank you, Jaren, for real. And also, Rougarou V2. And his note was very to the point. He said, founder's money. Got it.
Cool.
Got it. You got it, brother. Another fucking $100, dude. So imagine me, by the way. I woke up today at 11 a.m. or something.
Jesus Christ,
right?
You're such a scumbag.
Stay mad, right?
You're such a scumbag.
I just roll out of bed. I have bleary eyes. Scroll through my phone. I have 8 billion notifications because I get DM'd entirely too often, right? And then I look at my Gmail and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's a morning. That's a morning. So it's going to go to good use, though. I'm not flexing or anything. Actually, we'll get into it. But I was just saying I had a good morning thanks to you guys. That's what I'm getting at. And so did Tanner. Rougarou V2, founder's money, 100 fucking bucks, dude. Nuts. Rougarou V2, probably my favorite Patreon name, in fact. I love saying it every time. Very much appreciate the love, the support, dude. You've been around quite a while as well. And, you know, again, $100 is not a small amount of money. So we really fucking appreciate that, young man. And thank you very much. All three of you guys, thank you very much. Means a lot. We really appreciate it. And with a last minute entry claiming Kira, whom I am still debating, I'm contemplating banning her, right? Claiming Kira has donated with again no message attached. 100 fucking United States dollars as well. I mean, absolutely insane people, right? Insane people.
A lot of last minute entries.
A lot of last minute entries, yes. The entries are closed now, by the way. Kira, I'm going to let Kira slide here, okay? Just because Jake Down likes her and Jake's been a supporter forever or something. I'm going to let Kira slide. It's a joke. Relax. On this, but yeah, that was the last entry. But anyways, Kira, thank you very much, young lady. You've been surprisingly active, more so than your boyfriend, by the way. Kira is a more involved member of the community than Jake Down is.
Yeah. Jake
So,
falls asleep.
As she just said, I literally watch when he is sleeping. So true. Kira is, of course, a bigger fan, a better fan. I'm going to unmod Jake and mod Kira. How about that? What are our thoughts on that?
Sounds good to me.
All right. We'll be doing that momentarily. So yes, indeed, Kira, that's a lot of money, a lot of love, a lot of support. We very much appreciate you being around, young lady. And again, $100, a lot of cash. So thank you, miss. We appreciate that. And you will be listed as a founder. And you can tell me if you want it to read Kira and Jake down or just Kira. Let me know. I'd rather not list Jake down. It would amuse me. I think Jake's a founder anyway. It doesn't matter. I haven't done the accounting. Kira, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And then I think we have one announcement from TDS here. Anything to announce?
Oh yeah, a couple little offline noties here. Nicomus with a 5 gifted subs. Thank you, Nicomus. Appreciate that, bud. That was a couple days ago. And then McBango, when we were in the pre-show, just said fuck it and dropped 5 gifted subs as well. Thank you, boys. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Absolutely goated.
Goated, as they say, yeah.
Cracked and goated. Now, couple other announcements. So, I mean, you guys are disgusting. That's a lot of fucking support. A lot of love, dude. A lot of love. So, the fundraiser for the website is, as I said, officially over. Our goal was 5,000 United States dollars, which is a little less than the cost of the website, but we figured that was a good place. Whatever. We raised $8,006.61.
Jesus Christ.
That's a little over what the website costs, right? It's a little more than the website costs. Probably.
Yeah.
Actually,
we'll
not
second
much
one made.
more. Yeah. Maybe we'll make another one. Yeah. So that's fucking crazy. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, the fundraiser is officially over. And thank you to literally everyone who contributed. And even if you didn't, if you just listen or you give us your Prime subs, it all helps, of course. But of course, a special thank you to the founders. So the founders list is done. It's secured. It's in the bag. As I said, you had 13 months to figure it out. So sorry if you didn't, but also, nah, not really that sorry. You took too long. You took too long. But anyways, to everyone who did contribute, thank you very much. And just to be clear, we will obviously continue to accept donations, right? We'll still take your money.
Oh, of course.
We'll still take your money.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't get it fucking twisted here.
Yeah.
We're not gonna.
Don't stop.
Yeah. Don't stop sending us money. Of course. We're not gonna stop accepting it, but we're gonna stop listing people as founders. So, because at some point the list has to end. So we're drawing that line now. But yes, again, you guys are absolutely fucking nuts. And we really love and appreciate you guys. I mean, you know, these donations help a lot. We've got a lot of ambitious plans coming up too, by the way. So everything that we raised over the amount of the cost of the site is going to be going toward community events and other things for the program for you guys to enjoy. One of which I'll be talking about very shortly tonight. So we're going to be using these funds for other projects. And again, that's thanks to you guys, of course. So we'll get into that in a second. We also got word, speaking of the website, from the developers of it today. They said they've been a bit behind, but, quote, the site should be ready in a couple of weeks. To me, this sounds like late March. Like about 4 weeks from now. I would expect that we have either significant progress or the dropshot.com is fucking live.
Yeah.
Is that what this? Is that the impression?
Or
you
they
got?
took the money. They're in Mexico. They've changed their identity. They'll never be seen again.
That's
those are
also
those are the
possible.
options. Yeah.
Yes, that's possible as well. But yeah,
But
late
yeah.
March. What do you think? Sound about right?
Sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
we'll keep you guys updated. You know, as we learn more, but we didn't get a hard and fast kind of line set here. So what I will say is, come April 1st, if there's no other updates, I will be giving you an update. I will be emailing them daily for an update. I don't expect it to. I don't expect that to be the case, but you know, I'm not going to string you guys along here. So hopefully we'll have significant progress before April. So that's going to be coming pretty soon, which we're very excited for. Now, last announcement. What are you guys going to do with the excess funds? Because you keep like alluding to things, but you're not actually fucking, you know, doing anything. There's not even a website. Okay, relax, fair.
I was thinking about going to Hawaii.
We're gonna vlog a trip to Cancun. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I have a member of our small but vibrant and extremely humble community. Some of you may know him as Goated Oat. He's been around for quite a while in the community, and he messaged me, and I didn't respond. I'm kidding. He messaged me, and he was like, hey, you know, I'm really interested in like getting into the tournament organization kind of fucking arena. So imagine Twitch Rivals. So these like tournaments that people do. Someone organizes those. And Goated Oat was just telling me like, I kind of want to like become that guy. So how about I organize some kind of tournament for the Dropshot of Call of Duty podcast community? And he was like, I'll do all of the work. You just give me a date and then also like commentate it. Chick Hearn it. And I said, sure, let's do it. And then I messaged him in all caps, bold, italics. I said, to be clear, I'm not doing shit for this except commentating. And he said, yes, because it would defeat the purpose if you did anything. Because he wants to get good at like actually doing all the legwork, organizing and all that shit. And he seems like he has more of an affinity for that anyways. So I said, okay, cool. So we were talking and we were throwing around the idea of a Warzone tournament. But I said, nah. No, I'm just kidding. We good. Nah. What I think we're going to do in a Warzone tournament is pretty ambitious. So, especially for his first tournament. So what we decided on was, let's wait until the new Warzone map or whatever the fuck's going to happens before we get there. But first, to get a little experience under our belt, how about we have a gunfight tournament? So that's what we're doing. Now, I have a date for you, but I don't have any details. Do you want details? DM Goated Oat. Don't DM me, because I don't have any details. Here's what I know, and here's the only thing I will know until the day I'm commentating it, right? The date of the gunfight tournament is Friday, March 26th at 12 o'clock Pacific time. That is when we will be doing the gunfight tournament. We think it's going to be like a patrons only kind of deal, but not sure on that. We think there's going to be like a KD cap, but not sure on that. 2s or 3s, I don't know. Once again, ask Goated Oat. He's doing all of it. So what I'm going to do in the Discord is I'm going to make a new text channel called like tournament organization or some shit. And then Goated Oat's going to be like the king of that channel, and then he'll post everything there and you guys can figure it out. So what I think we'll end up doing is, yeah, just gunfight tournament within the community. And then Tanner and I are going to codcast it, stream it, and then like commentate it. It's going to be cool.
Oh, I thought I was going to play in it and win.
Nah.
No, I'm just kidding. Nah.
Nah.
I mean, they need to see that every gunfight tournament we've ever played, we've won first
That is,
try.
of course, true, but it
You
wouldn't
know?
be fair. It wouldn't be
It wouldn't
fun.
be fair. Yeah,
you
we've
know?
never lost one. We've never lost a round even, so that makes sense.
We never even take a damage in a gunfight tournament, in fact.
Yeah,
So
true.
So the plan, roughly, I think, and ask Goated Oak because I don't actually know, but the plan, I think, is going to be like gunfight tournament happens, I go live or Tanner goes live. We do like the spectator thing where you're in the match with them, but you're just like a codcaster. You're like you're like an Oracle from Halo 3, and you just like move around and like spectate, and then like commentate it live. Like, oh, that was
Cool.
such a sick snipe, or whatever the fuck people say. I'll do fun. So that is what we're gonna do. Now, again, I have no details. Goated Oat will have details for you. Don't ask me if you can join. Don't ask me when it is. Don't ask me if you need Discord. Don't ask me anything about the gunfight tournament. Ask Goated Oat. Don't ask Tanner either. Because if you ask me or Tanner, we're either not going to reply to you at all,
I'll reply.
or we're going to say DM
I'll
Goated
reply.
Oat. Because it's his thing. It's going to be good for him. He wants the experience. And what the plan is once we do this, and then it goes terribly because it's everyone's first tournament, then we'll do a couple more, then we'll get good at it. And then when this is, of course, the #1 podcast in gaming, I will have Goated Oat as a reference. Or he'll have us as a reference, I guess. And then fucking, EA Sports will call and say, hey, yeah, this guy listed you on his resume. He said he used to organize tournaments for you. And I'll be like, yeah, he was really good at it. So it's just a win-win for everyone. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. So I'm very excited. So, again, Friday, March 26th, 12 o'clock Pacific time, the afternoon, Friday afternoon. Mark the calendar. Tell your boss you can't work that day. Buy your fiance a spa day ticket or pass. I don't know. Whatever. Figure it out. But that's the date. So, how do you feel about this gunfight tournament? How excited are you? Are you nervous? Are you scared?
Why would I be nervous or scared?
don't
Nervous
know.
or scared of what?
Commentating?
I commentate to hundreds of thousands of people at least twice a week, so I'm good.
Well, okay. No, but what are your thoughts,
no.
though?
I'm excited. I think this will be really fun. Yeah, because we had talked about doing the Warzone thing, but that's a lot to set up and figure out. The gunfight tournament is kind of an easier thing to, get some practice in, figure things out. It's just, I think, easier for like more casual players and like the whole community to join in on it.
Yeah, 100%.
So it'll be a blast, I think.
Yeah, true.
A lot of questions asking if it's Cold War or Modern Warfare. Don't know. Don't ask us.
Ask Goated Oat. I
Ask
don't
Goated
know.
Oat.
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's in a video game.
It's in a Call of Duty title, probably. But Goat might tell me to install Rocket League before we start commenting. Maybe. I don't know. I am totally hands off here. So if this goes well, I'll be very excited because then we can start doing like Warzone tournaments under Goated Oat's tutelage. And then he'll have enough experience to where he can go off and do his own thing too. And like maybe help with like some of these bigger tournaments, or we expand the Dropshot tournaments into a bigger thing where we invite more people or whatever. No matter what, it's going to be an interesting experiment to run. And I know we had been tossing around the idea of a gunfight tournament for at least 6 months. So we're finally going to get it done. So big thank you to Goated Oat for DMing me about this, because it would take a lot of time and we've got a lot of moving parts right now, which we'll get into in a week actually. So I didn't want to put this on my plate also, but if Goat's gonna, graciously accept all the kind of legwork for this, then let's do it. It should be fun. So, so that is that. So.
Oh, fuck, that's a man's whiskey right there. Jesus Christ.
What's the whiskey?
The Whistle Pig, 10-year. Ooh, trying to drink it. Neat. Oh, man. That is a man's drink right there.
You'll figure it out.
You wouldn't understand, of course.
Okay. Any other announcements from you, TDS?
No.
Okay. All right, so that's it for announcements. We're going to get into the program here, but first, a couple acknowledgments quickly. Raging Streams, 2-month sub. Yay, 2 months. Also, thanks for the great pod. And it gets me through work when I do work. You love to see it. Thank you, Raging. Welcome back, dude. Appreciate the 2-month subarino. I feel like I've known you longer than 2 months, so sub more. Kidding. It's fine. I appreciate it, dude. Welcome back, brother. Mateo, another 100 bits. Let's go, dude. Mulletproof, Mute with the 5 gifted subs. Raging with the 5 gifted subs. Trevor W with the 5. Jesus Christ, dude. And Bates and Switch with another fucking 5, dude? Animals. Bates. Oh, no. 5 months. Whatever. Bates. 5-month sub, dude. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it. Welcome back. 1 more month for your 6-month badge. Of course, Trevor W, dummy supportive of this program with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you, Trevor. I really appreciate you, dude. And Raging Streams as well. The very kind words and the 5 gifted himself. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much, Raging. Thank you, thank you. Mullet, of course, absolutely insane. Thank you for your very, very generous support over the year. And for those 5 gifted subs. I appreciate that, dude. Mateo as well with the biddies. And by the way, Bjorn gave us $10 earlier and said, start the program, LOL. Which is such a 13-year-old message. But thanks for the $10.
He's just tossing around money lately.
He's just fucking doing this move right here. He's getting ready for the strip club in 5 years. Or whatever.
Yeah.
When it's legal.
I've never been to one.
Neither have I. I don't plan on
That's
it.
where we're taking the rest of the website fund.
Oh yeah, we're taking $8,006 to Sapphire.
Yeah.
Rhino. I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's get this going.
We tried. Thank you all for the love. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you guys. And without further ado, if you were listening for the jingle, here it is.
Oh, how you doing tonight? I think I'm getting sick.
Are you joking?
No. Sierra's sick. And now my throat's starting to hurt.
Well, that sucks, actually.
This man's whiskey is going to help. Don't worry.
It'll soothe your sore throat for sure. Yeah,
for sure, dude.
Well, Tanner has COVID, so
No, she already got tested and she's negative. It's just being sick.
okay. Hopefully.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Start the fucking pod.
All right, so first section of the program would normally be playlist updates. However, there have been none. It's a new season, so that's unsurprising. And now we're going to get into All About Warzone 2021 Part 2. So, this is the extension of our Tuesday episode, as I was saying. Basically, today, we are going to go over the rushing strategy, early game, mid game, late game, and then the same thing with the recon strategy, early game, mid game, late game. And we're going to go into a lot of detail, and we have some class setups for you here as well. But before we do that, there were a couple things that have changed since the last episode.
There's been some things that have changed for sure.
So for a year, that fucking map was fine, right? And then, of course, in a 5-day span, they go and open all the bunkers and then destroy others and then lock others. So the bunker map we discussed with the codes on it and the red access card, like fucking locations on that map, it's a lot less useful now. Some of those bunkers are still accessible. They just don't require a code anymore. So you'll at least know where they are if you use that map. And then some of those bunkers, you can't even enter a code anymore, so you just can't get in. So, you know, you can change your desktop background back to the Sierra Nevadas or whatever.
Or you can just leave it and you can use it as a map.
That's true too. Yeah, it's just it just doesn't have the shipwreck on it. So that's thing number one that kind of changed, but that wasn't a huge point anyway, so that's fine. I still think the map can be useful, but it's obviously not up to date anymore. Such unfortunate timing, by the way. That map would have been fine if we had done this episode in the past, like, 8 months.
Yeah.
6 months, maybe? Yeah. So, well, get shit on.
Well, the bunkers weren't all there to start with, so yeah.
That's true. And then also another thing that changed is in that Imager IMGUR album that we linked, all of the Modern Warfare setups were correct. So the general AR build for MW weapons, still correct. General SMG build, still correct. HDR, car build, still correct. Everything that has to do with weapon setups for MW, those things are still true, real and true and intact. The Cold War weapon builds in that album? No. Let me rephrase. Maybe, but probably not, because it was changed, a lot of the Cold War weapons and their attachments, and I don't think even the devs know what they do now. So for example, the agency suppressor, which is in our like sample Mac 10 builds in that album, now reduces your velocity by like 40%. So that's obviously not to be used anymore. So what I've been doing and what I've been instructing others to do is to stop using Cold War weapons until JGod figures this shit out. They're going to revert the nerf to the agency suppressor that they probably accidentally had done. So when that comes back to being equivalent to a monolithic suppressor, they'll be better. Cold War weapons will be a lot better again. So definitely until then, don't use any, in my opinion. But
none of the rear grips do anything still. Did you hear that one?
I sure did.
They still do absolutely nothing.
I sure did, sadly. So,
well, except for ruin the ADS.
Yes. So my advice would be don't use Cold War guns until they fix the agency suppressor, and also until JGod and them give you like an optimized class setup. And don't use the setups that are in that Imager album. So that's something. But the MW builds again are still 100% correct. So was there anything else we talked about on Tuesday that needs to be rectified?
I don't think so, no, because a lot of it was just like the tip, so not really. Most of that didn't really change at all, so I think we're good.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because I was trying to find out if there was anything else, but I didn't think so either. But yeah. And then there was one other random tip or trick that we forgot to mention that I'll mention now. And Tanner, if you have any of these, let me know. I suspect you don't. But we started on Tuesday in part 1 with a very long list of random tips and shit you might not know about Warzone that can come in handy. And that was quite a long list. And I knew, of course, that we would be forgetting some things. Here was one thing we forgot that actually saved my life. I think yesterday or the day before. Okay. You're in the woods in Verdansk somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
If you see a bunch of birds fucking dip and start flying away, that means someone is coming or is in that area at least. And that'll tell you to prepare or get the fuck out of there. So what I had done is I was playing with, I think it was Cope Cowboy and L2 Drink Water. And I had 14, 15 kills. They both had 0 and they were dead and they lost their gulag. So then I was like, fine, I'm going to go get this most wanted bounty or contract. I'm going to get this helicopter. I'm going to go to the edge of the map and I'm going to wait the 3-minute timer. So I'm sitting there waiting. And then all of a sudden I see birds just fucking dip, just scatter, like on the hill next to me. Ooh. And I was like, oh, okay, people are trespassing there. I'm going to fucking bounce. And I left and it saved my life. So if you see birds flying around, it might be because you just disturbed them. And that should be obvious. But 9 times out of 10, if you notice the birds, it's because they're a little farther away, which means you aren't the one who set them off. So birds always fly away let me rephrase. The only time birds will ever fly away like that is if someone is coming close to them. So that's a good way to tell, even if you don't see the people, that people are there. Did you know this, Tanner?
I think they do it both. It definitely does it when people are close, but I also feel like birds always just fly away because I always attempt to shoot at them and there's like nobody there.
There's a difference between the seagulls and like the crows. I swear to God, this is true.
Oh, I don't know.
There's white birds that are just always flying around because the developers are brain dead.
Yeah.
But then there's also like birds that are like, they're like nesting tree birds. And if you're going through the woods, they'll fly out of the trees.
Nesting tree birds. Interesting. Okay.
What's it called? What's a bird scientist called? They have some dumb name.
Birdologist.
It's probably not that. No.
It's probably not that.
What is a bird scientist? Hold on. Let me look this up. Bird scientist is a great Call of Duty podcast, by the way. Ornithology. That's what it is. Yeah. Ornithologist. Yeah. Anyways. It is a thing. So, oh, you guys, yeah, okay, whatever. That is a thing, though. And it actually, again, that story is 100% real and true. And it literally probably saved my life because I just fucking flew out of there. I just dipped. So there's one other random tip or trick. Did you have anything else, any other random tip or trickerinos that you'd like to add?
I feel like we did think of some playing earlier this week, but I don't remember what they were now.
I was trying to think of, there was one other one that I forgot.
Yeah, there was one that we were both like, oh, we forgot to put that in, and we didn't put it down, so I don't know.
Oh, if you fly a plane, if you're flying a helicopter, this might have been it. If you're flying a helicopter, your helicopter moves faster if you're rolling. So if you're trying to go down, you actually will reach the ground faster if you like turn left and right while you're holding your descend button than if you merely descend. This also is true if you're going straight. If you're like going like, if you're like rolling left and right, you travel straight faster also, or up. That's also a thing. So there's another random tip. Cool. I think there was something
else
that I forgot, but.
Do you have any tips for flying better? Because you don't seem to do too.
All right, some technical difficulties. We're back.
Really? Okay.
So let's move on to the strategies now. So we're going to get into the rushing strat, and we're going to start with the early game. But before we do that, rushing strategy setups. So I will link all of these as before in the show notes, and I'm just going to put these on screen here. This is, generally speaking, when you're rushing, loadout number 1. And this is an example with an assault rifle primary. It's going to be an AR with an SMG secondary, EOD, overkill, amped, thermite lethal, stun grenade tactical. You can swap the tactical for a heartbeat sensor. Many people do that. And the lethal can be swapped for a Semtex, maybe even a C4. That seems to have re-entered the meta for some reason.
That has re-entered, yeah.
What are your thoughts on C4? Is that a cap?
Well, I've been killed by it recently, so I don't think it is, no. Know what I keep wanting to do also is put C4 on a helicopter and wait for a team to take it and then blow it up. I've seen a bunch of TikToks of that recently, and it's made me want to do that. Mm-hmm. Any TikTokers? But yeah. I've gone back to Semtex mostly. Thermite, I thought I would like. Yeah, I keep getting these situations where I wish I had Semtex where I can like throw it upstairs in a building that we're rushing. Yeah. And it have more splash damage versus the thermite just hits the ceiling up there and just doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's so good against vehicles, but I keep getting in situations like end game, final circles where I just wish I had a Semtex instead. I hear you on that. I like thermite most because it's so versatile. Like it's not as good as area denial, so like stopping someone from entering your room through like a doorway, as like a Molotov is, but it's still pretty good. It's not as good as at exploding people as a Semtex,
or a frag, but it's pretty good. And it's not as good at destroying vehicles as a C4, arguably, but it's pretty fucking good. So it just kind of like does everything like fine, and it makes it versatile. So I really like thermite, but yeah, a lot of lethals you can't really go wrong with. So you can swap that out as you wish. And then tactical, again, I think heartbeats or stun are probably the two ways to go here.
The only two, yeah.
Have you been running heartbeat or have you been running stun grenade on your first loadout?
I've been running stun more often lately. I've kind of gone back to that. Like even I've been using stun a lot more even when we're not running restock, because we haven't been picking up restock much lately. And I've usually just been running stuns with my overkill class or my ghost class, and it's fine. Because like we had talked about, you pick so many up anyways, you don't really need restock. It comes in handy at the very end, but other than that, it's fine. I haven't had any issues.
I agree. I've gone away from heartbeat sensor. For sure. I haven't used it in quite a while. So, but you can also use heartbeat sensor. It's pretty good, especially early game. And then here is the second loadout. So this is again an example loadout. It's more like the perks that you want to take into account here. AR primary and ghost is this example. So if you want to run ghost, we've got fully loaded on the assault rifle. We've got fully loaded on the pistol. And then again, the tacticals can be swapped and the lethals can be swapped as needed. So what you do is obviously you get loadout number 1, you pick up loadout number 2, and then you drop your fully loaded assault rifle, which is loadout number 2, gives you full ammo, and your fully loaded pistol, which also gives you full SMG ammo. Drop them both, pick up your original overkill guns, and now you have ghost, but you also have 2 primary weapons. So this is an example of that. And then here's the same loadout number 2, except this time you have restock. It's the only difference. If you want restock, which recharges your lethal and tacticals over something like 50 seconds, maybe less, 35, not sure. But over an amount of time, your lethals and your tacticals... I think it's around 45,
somewhere around there.
Yeah, your lethals and tacticals will automatically regenerate. And this is really good if you're pushing a lot too, because you'll just always have a stun when you're like pushing a building if you have restock. Because by the time you're done pushing that building and get to the next one, it's probably been 45 seconds. You probably have another stun. You don't have to find one. It's 50 seconds, yeah. Okay, so that's that. Those are some example class setups. All these images will be in the description, and I have in the albums little descriptions under each image for a little more clarification. Now, early game strategy. Land on a scavenger. Oh, wait, okay. So your goal is to get your loadout as soon as possible. Especially with the rushing strategy, this is super important.
Yes.
Your loadout's good for getting you 2 really good weapons, obviously, which is important, for sure. But also, just as importantly, maybe more importantly, is you get perks. So you get your green perk, your green perk. You get your blue perk, your red perk, and your yellow perk. Having EOD, disgusting. Having amped, Omega, disgusting. And then overkill is just 2 weapons. But then ghost, disgusting. Restock, disgusting. That's like the real benefit. But also the guns are very good. So that is your goal. Get a loadout as soon as possible. Loadouts, of course, cost $10,000. So how are we going to do that? This can be accomplished in a few ways, all of which are viable. So number 1 way to get your loadout as soon as possible. Find a scavenger contract, land on it, complete it as soon as you possibly can, and then loot while you do that to secure your 10K for a loadout. Now, obviously, the bigger your squad, the faster you'll get a full loadout, because it's more people looting.
Stack that cash, yeah.
And you can get communist and pool your resources and buy a loadout. When you land on scavs, this will typically be a hotter drop because people have figured out that a scavenger contract is going to give you the most money of every contract type. And people also have figured out getting a loadout as soon as possible is good. So scavengers are the most sought after contracts off the rip.
It also feels like there's far less scavs on the map compared to something like a Recon.
True.
I think, I'm not positive on that, but it definitely seems that way. Because you'll land certain areas, like say we'll go Millie. Sometimes there'll be like 4 Recons there, and there's usually just like 1 scav. You don't see them as often.
Yeah.
So they're always hot.
Yeah, that's another thing too. That's a good point. I feel like bounties too. There's a lot of bounties, not as many scavs. It'd be interesting to see data on that, but I feel like that's true.
Yeah.
So landing on a scav, you know, this will typically be a hotter drop because scavengers are very popular off the rip, again, due to how much money they give you. Therefore, this is a good strategy if you're actually trying to get as many kills as possible, because it's very rare that you land directly on a scavenger contract and there isn't at least one other team going for it.
Yeah.
So if you do land on a scavenger contract and you're like going for a high kill game, it's a good way to do it because you're gonna have to kill those rats first, because they're going after the same thing you are. And then, you know, then hopefully you get the scav and then you can continue. That's strategy number 1. Any thoughts on this, Tanner?
No, that's the way we do it pretty much.
Okay. So another way to get your loadout as soon as possible. Grab a bounty if the area you land in is hot. So Tanner and I used to make this mistake a lot where we would drop on a bounty contract and as soon as we land, we would pick it up. And then it would designate our bounty as someone close, but they're not close. They're in the plane above us. So it shows that they're close, but they leave the plane 3 kilometers later and there's no hope that we're killing this bounty. So if you do this strategy, don't pick up the bounty right away unless you see people on the ground in your area. Then you can pick up the bounty, it'll give it to them, and then you can start banging. There's a pro tip number 1. Yeah, don't pick up the bounty if you're the first ones to land and you don't see anyone else around. You can probably snag a bounty as soon as possible, even if you don't see anyone else. However, if you drop in somewhere like Superstore, why is that? I don't need to see a goddamn soul to know that there are other people in Superstore with me if I drop Superstore. Doesn't matter if I saw them or not. They're there. You can pick up the bounty as soon as you fucking want if you land somewhere as hot as Superstore. Are there other examples of areas this hot? Probably the Shipwreck right now.
Shipwreck is hotter than Super right now, that's for sure.
Yeah. Would there be anywhere else?
I feel like Boner can be pretty hot. It's usually never as hot as Super though. That's the spot. I don't know. That's definitely the hottest spot on the map. There are other areas where a lot of people land, but they're bigger areas, so you don't see everyone as well. Hospital is probably second after Super.
Hospital is hot.
And then parts of airport, like east side of airport more. But that's one of those areas too where it's so big, there's a lot of buildings to get in. It doesn't seem as hot even if there's more people landing there because they're a little bit more spread out or there's more just buildings to get in cover behind.
True. Yeah, good point. So in general, if you want to land on a bounty, go for it, but don't pick it up right away because you might get someone who's still on the plane or who is floating. But this is another way, again, if you're trying to get as many kills as possible, getting a bounty ASAP is a good way to do it. Because ideally, you pick up a bounty off the rip, you get a little bit of ground loot, maybe a ground patrol FFAR blueprint. Maybe you find stopping power too, and now you can't lose. So you push your bounty, you kill them, you loot whatever they looted, and also you get the contract complete bonus money, and now you definitely have enough for a loadout. And you got yourself a kill, or a couple kills in the process. So a bounty is another good thing to land on for the rushing strat for money and for as many kills as possible. Now, when we say rushing strat, again, we don't necessarily mean you're trying to kill race. It's more broadly just how to play without doing a bunch of recons. That's kind of what we mean by rush. But the subset of that is like kill racing. And then if you're doing that, grabbing bounties is obviously good for that as well. landing on the scavenger contract, the risk is that there will be other people going for it. Grabbing a bounty off the rip, the risk here is that you might not get blessed by the ground loot gods in the same way your target is. And if they find the FFAR with stopping power and you find a Milano, you're going to push someone and get shit on. And you're going to be sad. Yeah, it's a rip for sure. So, anything to add here on this bounty point, TDS?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, just really pay attention though. Like, don't grab a bounty until like you know there are probably enemies in the area. Like, I accidentally did this when we were playing earlier this week. I thought I was grabbing like the Recon or something because it was like close by in the same building or whatever. I wasn't looking at my map. I saw the contract. I grabbed it. Turned out it was a bounty. They hadn't jumped yet, and the guy ended up like 1,000 meters away from us. So it was just a worthless bounty pickup. So you really have to pay attention to that.
And when that happens too, you might think like, oh, well, I just can't kill him. It's all good. It's like, well, no, because you also can't pick up another contract for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And that sucks because now you can't earn money doing another contract for that entire time unless they get poached. So that's why it's pretty annoying when that happens. It's pretty bad. Depending on where you drop.
Yeah.
Alternatively, this is something Tanner and I have been doing more than anything lately when we do this strategy, I think. You can land somewhere without many contracts with the express purpose of looting an uncontested area and getting a bunch of cash just by looting and not doing any contracts.
Yeah.
So you can land somewhere where there are no contracts, as long as there's like a buy station nearby, and then loot it up, buy, and you didn't have to do any contracts. So train station is an example of a great place to do this. There is a fuck ton of money in train station, and it is more often than you would think uncontested. I think people are picking up on this now because it seems hotter than it used to be lately, landing train station. But still, there are times where you'll be the only people landing here, and that's never true at Superstore. For example.
Yeah.
You know. So train station is like one such place, but you could do this anywhere really. Just land somewhere without many contracts, just so you can loot the fuck up. Train station's a good place. Boneyard's a good place to land, even if you don't intend on getting any contracts. What's another good? Because there are a lot of bad places to land if you're not going to get a contract there.
Would you say Boner? You say Boner was one of them?
No, Boneyard's a good place to loot, even if there's no contracts.
But
like, would be a bad place to loot if there's no contracts. Storage Town, not great. Because you have to go in and out of cubbies, and like there's not that much loot there. If you go to Storage Town and don't do a contract, yikes. But there are other places that are really good to loot.
Farmland's really bad without contracts.
Terrible without contracts.
Because it's so big.
Yes.
So spread out.
Farmland's dog shit without contracts. True. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. What are your thoughts on this? No contract strat.
I've kind of been liking this more lately, actually. And it doesn't even have to be like an uncontested area also. You could land somewhere that may be, it'll have some enemies there, but if you're able to kill them, then you don't need to get the contracts and do all that shit anyways. But train station, I think for most people, I recommend landing there. If you guys don't know, if you never landed there, like it's on like the east side of like train station proper. Like pretty much right where the name is over the map. There's like a skylight type opening in the roof. You drop in through there, you land on an escalator. There's a couple levels to loot. You can't loot that area without coming up with 10,000 to get your loadout.
It's impossible.
You always get the money there. And like probably 75% of the time there's a buy right there as well. And if not, there's always one just to the north or to the east more. I mean, you don't have to run more than like 300 meters ever. So it's a good spot.
So what do you prefer doing? Scavenger, bounty, or no contract?
Lately, I think I've been liking no contract, actually.
Yeah. So the thing about the no contract
You're liking
thing,
like fighting off the rip.
yeah,
Doing it that way.
Mm-hmm. Another good place is the hangars to the. How do I explain this? I can't explain it well. It doesn't matter. Yeah, this is kind of what we've been doing. Another thing about landing in a place with the express purpose of looting and not necessarily doing a contract, it doesn't mean you can't do a contract. You're just not trying to land directly on one and pick it up right away. You know, like you can land Boneyard, loot up, see if anyone's around, and then maybe do a contract later. Maybe you killed one other team and now you're pretty confident no one else is here. Maybe we'll grab some recons, or we'll grab a bounty, or we'll do this scav for a satchel. But you aren't landing directly on a contract with the express purpose of doing it. That's something that this encompasses as well. And for all these strategies, where you drop should be, regardless of which strategy you pick here, where you drop should be heavily dependent on if there is a buy station close by. Because again, your goal is to get a loadout, and you have to have a buy station to do that, to buy a loadout. You do not want to loot up a bunch of shit and have to walk 1,000 miles like Vanessa Carlton to go buy a loadout.
Okay.
So, dude, the drummer on that song, by the way, world-class drummer on 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. World-class drummer, I swear to God. Go re-listen to the song, chat, and listen to the drums. World-class drummer. Anyways.
Okay.
You don't want to be like her in this case, though. You want to loot up somewhere where there is a relatively close by so you can buy the fucking loadie as soon as possible. Is there ever a case where you will drop somewhere that you know is loot heavy, even if there is not a buy station close?
I guess it depends. Maybe if there's like a Bertha or a helicopter or something you could get, but I do feel like we definitely land places based on if there's a buy station there. Like we'll look at that. Like say, like we'll look at Millie sometimes and be like, is there a buy like real close there? You know, if there's not a buy in an area we like, then we'll just say, okay, let's not go there. So usually we stick to where a buy is for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think almost always you should make sure there's a buy around. Because even relying on vehicles, sometimes they get stolen and then you're just fucked. And then you have to Carlton it, which is trash. Also keep in mind the position of the circle and where you are. If you want to drop far outside of the first circle, for example, it's much less likely to have other people around. So it might be a safer drop. But you also might need to get into a vehicle to get into the zone if you're too far outside the circle. So there are times where the circle ends like in the middle of train station. And so you might want to go to port or prison. That's fine. Just realize you have to go very far to get inside the circle on the first gas move. And the first circle moves very quickly. So you're going to absolutely need a vehicle if you're that far. And just keep that in mind. Most people know this. So if you land way outside the circle, in general, going to be fewer people around you. But you're going to need to have transport to evac. Tanner, you were nodding aggressively.
No, just agreeing with you.
Okay. Yeah. So that's something too, is like, you know, if some area looks really good to you, but it's also way outside the circle, land there. Just make sure there's like a vehicle around that you can use to exfil. And then it might be uncontested and you just loot a good area for free. And then after these things, whatever of these strategies you pick, find a relatively safe buy station that is not being camped and drop the loadout. And then you're going to pick up your overkill setup. So that's going to be either assault rifle, SMG, or sniper rifle, assault rifle in general, especially in this current meta. It is very important that you get this done as quickly as possible. If a team gets their loadout and pushes you before you have yours, you're at a severe disadvantage.
Yeah, loadouts are so important that you don't even. We've kind of gotten to the point recently where if we don't have to fight anyone, we almost don't push them until we have our loadout, or even like we'll know somebody's over in a certain area. Like we'll have a bounty or something on them, and they'll be close to us, and we'll hear gunshots. We'll be like, nope, you know what? We got to buy our loadie. This isn't worth it. We need to buy our loadie. We don't know what guns they have right now. Let's just get this done.
100%. And yeah, and conversely, by the way, if we get our loadout really quick, we're like pretty sure that these kids on the other side of Boneyard have not gotten their loadout yet, because I didn't see red smoke. I didn't hear them buy, and we have our loadouts. Let's go rape them. Because they're fucked. They're fucked. If you have loadout and they don't, they're fucked. It's very easy to get those wins. So getting your loadout, you need to do this shit as soon as you possibly can, to like even the playing field or to put yourself at the advantage. But you don't want to be underneath a team that has loadout and you don't, because it's going to be real rough winning that fight for sure.
Yeah.
So keep those things in mind. And then once you get your first loadie, stay alive, obviously, and keep your eyes peeled for your first free loadout drop. Again, that's going to be circle 1 with like what, 150, right? Or 10?
Circle 1 with, oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. It's circle 1 with 50, isn't it? 50 seconds.
Yeah, I think it is. That we talked about it in part 1, but you get a free you get
or
2
is that
free
the
loadout
15
drops.
one? I can't think straight
I don't
right
remember.
now. I'm
Go
too
look
tired.
at the show notes for the last episode. But
yeah.
Again, once you get your loadout that you've purchased, and you want to be able to purchase a loadout before the free one drops, by the way. Circle 1 with 115 left, you dumbs. I'm unmodding Kira. So you ideally want your loadout that you've purchased prior to circle 1 with 115 left. And once you've done that, gotten that first loadout, stay alive, keep your eyes peeled for the free community drop. You will want to see how many other boxes drop with yours. Mm-hmm. This is very important, as this will tell you how many other teams, if any, are in the vicinity. If only your box drops, it's probably super safe to go snag it, and there's probably no one else around. If 5 other boxes drop with yours, you're in for a complete shit show, because you know there are 5 other teams at least around, and that's why their free loadout dropped here. Yeah. So in any case, if there are like actually 5 other boxes, you probably don't get that loadout. It's probably not worth it, because you're probably gonna die. It will be camped.
Yeah, if there's that many, for sure.
We've done this, haven't we? Where I would say if there's a bunch of other boxes, or if it's in just a shit spot, because sometimes the free drop is just in the middle of like an open field and buildings are surrounding it, and it's like, dude, there's really no way to pick this up without getting ripped. You just have to give it up, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Which that does happen pretty often as well. And we'll just say, okay, forget it. We almost have enough money. We'll buy a second one, or we'll just keep going like this for now until we have enough money to buy a second one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, yeah. It's not the end of the world not having overkill or ghost. And you can always get it later anyway. You can either get it on the second free loadout drop, or you can buy your own. But it's always better to not have your second loadout drop, so your ghost or restock, but be alive. That's always better than being in the next match.
True.
So if a ton of boxes drop, be very careful. It might be safe to get it, depending on where it lands, if there's like a bunch of hardcover. And then, you know, hopefully you can get it. At this time, you get your second loadout, as we showed in the example image. You're gonna now have either ghost or restock, and then you're gonna have 2 primary weapons that you got from your first loadout, your overkill loadout, and then you're also gonna have full AR ammo, because you had fully loaded as a weapon perk on your Ghost class, and full SMG ammo because you had fully loaded on the pistol of your second loadout drop, Ghost class, or restock. So you're just ammoed the fuck up. Another little pro tip here. If your dipshit friends haven't set up their fully loaded classes, you can drop all your AR ammo and then get your Ghost class, and then you're going to have fully loaded, so you're going to have full ammo anyway, and then your dipshit friend can pick up that AR ammo, for example. Same with sniper, SMG, etc. And that's pretty much what we've designated the early game.
Yeah.
And that is the rushing strategy early game. Again, best case scenario, you drop in, you get a ton of money quickly, you buy your first loadie, you stay alive till second community loadie drops, you get that as well, and now you're all vibing and you all have Ghost or you all have restock stuns. That's how the early game is supposed to go, and those are some tips and tricks to get you there. What are your thoughts on this, Tanner?
That's pretty early game. I mean, that's pretty early on to have 2 loadout drops too. So if you do this successfully, it's like still the first circle basically, and you have both of your loadouts, and then you usually have some money left over, and that's when you start going and fucking just killing everyone on the map.
Yes. Yeah. Once you get Ghost or restock, that's when you're ready to put the pedal to the metal, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is what we call the mid-game strategy. Once the loadout is secured, try to buy UAVs and self-reses as soon as possible. The later into the game it goes, the more you want to prioritize self-res and the less you want to prioritize UAV. But like right after the first loadout drop, UAVs are way more important than self-reses, I would say. Because many people have not gotten Ghost yet. Their game is not going as well as yours. And even if it is, they might be running restock or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Your goal for mid-game is to have as much knowledge of where everyone else is as you possibly can. You do not want to be surprised here. You want to be the person doing the surprising. Get
the
bounties.
Surpriser. Okay.
The surpriser, yes. Get bounties as often as you can, because this will tell you roughly where at least one other team is, making it impossible for these people to surprise you. This is something that we will do quite often, actually, is like, hey, let's get this bounty for intel. Because sometimes you'll pick up a bounty and it'll say they're 100 meters west of you and you had no idea.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, thank God we picked that up, because we were about to run into them and get shit on. And that can be very valuable, obviously. And then other times, it won't ping anyone close to you, and that's fine. But yeah.
You kind of like get into this groove where you just keep picking up bounties, and if it's working successfully, you can get like a bunch of kills just back to back to back from just getting these bounties and knowing where the enemies are. It ends up being very helpful. Like when you're playing this way, you should pretty much always have a contract. Like there's no reason you should go more than like a few minutes without having some sort of contract. Unless you're in an area where it's like, where it's later game and there's just nothing to pick up anymore. But it's like 100%. You should be snagging all of the bounties to get the money. Because like we had talked about, it was like every time you do a contract, your money goes higher and higher. Your bonus percentage gets higher and higher. So even if somebody else is killing that bounty and you're not getting it, it's getting poached, you're still getting money for it. And when you're on like 180% bonus, you're getting a lot of money for doing nothing.
Yes. Exactly. That's another thing too. Your economy just stays fucking banging, dude, to use to borrow an RTS term. However, if you pick up a bounty and they're like on top prison, let them be.
Yeah.
Don't go out of your way.
Don't force it
to get a bounty. Don't force it. Exactly. You can hope that they get poached so you can pick up a new one sooner, or just let it expire. But again, you would rather have a bounty you can't complete than be all dead. Yeah. Right? So don't go out of your way to get bounties. So keep that in mind. In general, you want to move into the new zone as soon as it's shown. Riding the gas is not a great strategy in this game. And if you get gate kept doing this, you will simply die. This is where I feel like this is less of a problem for people now because Warzone's been out for a while. But when it first came out, I feel like I noticed people trying to ride gas often because they were used to playing PUBG, where you could be in the gas for 3 hours as long as you had like 2 bandages or something. Like the gas just didn't hurt you that much.
You could actually be in the gas for minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this game, not even close.
Yeah,
Fortnite too, I think people like either rode the gas or you could be in the gas for a little bit. Not nearly as much as PUBG, but yeah, you could just be in there forever.
Mm-hmm. So when people switch to Warzone, this is one of the mechanics we praised about Warzone. You really can't play in gas.
Yeah.
For any amount of time. If you have a gas mask that gives you like, unless you're stim glitching, yeah, you have like 8 seconds or something, and then you start taking damage, and you'll die soon, and you cough too, so people will know you're there. So riding the gas. When we say riding the gas, we don't mean being in the gas. Obviously, no one's trying to do that. Riding the gas means you're trying to run into the circle with the gas like right at your back. In this game, not a great strategy. Because if you get in one gunfight and you have to stop or take cover or replate, the gas is just going to kill you. You're going to get gate kept hard, and you're just going to die. What I would say is that when things are moving, when the zone is moving, you can find a building toward the edge of the next circle, and it's often a good idea to take the building, get on top, and look for other people to shoot. If you find another team to shoot, you don't necessarily have to stay on top of the building. You can go chase them. But getting on the rooftop gives you that ability to surveil the area and see, okay, there's guys there, and there's guys there. If we chase this team, we're going to catch them by surprise. And also, we can't get third-partied by these other 2 teams we saw. So let's jump off the roof and go rip them. Or, I have a clear line of sight. I'm going to just chill on the roof for a second, squad wipe them. That's fine too. But getting on these rooftops, if possible, or just any elevated position that's on like the edge of the next circle is a very good idea. Because you can also get into the next zone as soon as possible and then turn around and gatekeep people who are trying to ride the gas. But because you were there sooner, you rip them. These are a couple of like general tips and tricks with the rush strategy as it pertains to zones moving. And then you can also, again, if you get into one of these high ground rooftop areas, you can stay there and gatekeep a while, shoot out of the zone, shoot into the zone, whatever, or continue to buy UAVs, collect bounties, keep fragging. But you want to be, in general, far more ahead of the gas in this game than any other BR of the past. What are your thoughts, Tim?
I don't know if I fully agree with that statement when it comes to like solos, maybe duos too. With like trios for sure and quads, I don't think you can ride the gas. But when you're playing by yourself, I kind of feel like that's a viable strategy, honestly.
That's a good point. Tell me more.
It's just there's not as many people. Like if somebody's camping and kind of waiting for the gas, instead of a team of 4, you're just going to come across maybe one random rat. And a lot of times these guys playing solos are just like, they're camping in a corner, not even looking out windows. They're just inside of a building sitting somewhere. So I feel like you're less likely to get screwed like that coming into the zone late. And I don't play solos often at all. Like hardly ever. I don't even think I've queued for 50 matches by myself. And so like when I have played though, that's usually what I do. And it seems to work out pretty well usually. Because I just feel like you end up getting into like a building in the middle, like when you're trying to get ahead of the game, and like somebody who's already done 8 recons or something is just already sitting in a building, like hiding in the corner. Then you go in there and just get fucked, which is why a lot of times I feel like staying outside of the buildings until a certain point is actually better. That's
a good point.
But for trios and quads, absolutely not. You can't ride gas. It doesn't really work.
Yeah. That's a good point on solos. Solos is honestly a very different game for that reason.
Very different.
You need to be more worried being in a building than out of one in solos.
Yeah.
That's true. Because a lot of people will literally have ghost, heartbeat sensor out for 10 minutes in one corner. Actually, it's crazy. People play this game this way.
Because a lot of people in solos just get their ghost class right away.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
it's
also
totally
true.
different.
Yeah. So a lot of these principles will apply for solos, but some not exactly. I think riding gas in solos is more viable for sure.
Yeah.
Because even if one person is on a rooftop trying to gatekeep you, you might be able to outplay one. He might whiff, but 4 people are not gonna whiff. You guys are all fucked.
Yeah.
Like, you're all dead. But yeah, that's a good point. But yeah. In general, again, you wanna move into the new zone roughly as soon as it's shown. Again, keep your eyes peeled for the second and final free loadout drop, which is when. Kira, let us know. And see how many boxes drop with yours. If you already have your weapons and your perks, so let's say you bought a loadout and then you got your first free loadout, which would be your second loadout, and now you have ghost or restock. And now you haven't died since, you guys are slaying, and then there's another free loadout drop. Don't pick it up. You don't need it, right? You don't need it. If you save it, then in case of emergency, you can save this loadout drop for later if you die and respawn, as long as you haven't consumed it needlessly. And we talked about this on Tuesday on part 1. So long as not every member of your squad uses a loadout drop, either a paid one or a communal one, it won't despawn ever. So if you get a second free loadout drop and you don't need it, or even one of you doesn't need it, don't use it. Because then if you guys do die and get bought back, or you win gulag or whatever, you'll have somewhere to land and get a loadout for free. And that's huge.
That's very big.
But again, even if you have no intention of using the final free loadout drop, take a look, see how many boxes drop with it, because again, you'll get information on how many other teams are in the vicinity. So I feel like describing rushing mid-game strat is kind of difficult and like sort of straightforward. Like, we have general tips here, but there's no like clear roadmap for this. Again, it's just pick up bounties, chase them, be the surpriser, not the surprisee. Have UAVs as often as you can. You want as much information as possible, and don't die to gas. That's kind of it.
Get a bunch of kills, get more money.
Get a bunch of kills, get more money.
Make sure your whole team has self-res.
Get more ammo.
I feel like once you start getting to the end of the mid game too, that's when you start kind of. Oh, I guess we have that in the next point here in late game. But yeah, so there kind of gets to a point where you have to decide if you want UAV or precision airstrike. If you're calling in UAVs mid game and it's getting, you're like zone 4, maybe zone 5 or something. And your UAV is just, you're never finding anyone, then just stop buying them. Buy airstrikes or something and then just save them, which is what we'll get into here right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of hard to explain. It's not that it's hard to explain, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You just go around and start getting kills if you're doing this rushing strategy. Pick up bounties nonstop, go around, get kills, push people, don't be scared, listen for gunshots, etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think mid-game is when it gets pretty fun, because it's like you don't have to worry too much about positioning yet almost. You kind of just start going for kills. And it's not towards when you get into like the late game, then you have to really worry about positioning. I mean, obviously you don't want to go to the wrong side of the map or just not even close or ride the edge of the gas too much. But it kind of just, you get to chill, you get to run around, kill a bunch of people and not have to worry about a whole lot yet.
Yeah. I hear you on that. I think positioning is still, I know you didn't mean it's not important at all, but I just want to emphasize to the listeners, like, positioning is always kind of important. And even if you're like running around getting kills, there might be like a big summit in between you and like your bounty. Beat them to the summit so then you can shoot down on them. Positioning in that way is important. And I think we talked about this in the general tips and tricks. High ground is the best thing you can have. It's the
get
best.
on rooftops.
Yeah, get on rooftops, get on the ridge, get on the hill. You want to be as elevated as possible. And if you're on the highest ground of everyone in the lobby, chances are you're going to win.
Yeah.
So now let's get into the late game. So late game, we have classified as after the second free loadout drop has dropped until the end of the game. Once it's late game in this rushing strategy, you want to start shifting your priority from buying UAVs to buying precision airstrikes. A lot of people are going to have self-res by now, and a lot of rats are going to have ghost by now. So UAV is not going to be as helpful for you. And even if they don't have ghost, in the later game, a lot of people are set up and encamped on a rooftop where even if you know they're there, it's going to be very hard to finish them. So this is where you want to go more from UAV to precision airstrike, because then you get a down, and as soon as you down someone, you precision where you got the down. That prevents them from self-reviving because they'll die to the airstrike, and it prevents them from being rezzed by their teammates because either their teammate just doesn't res them and then they die to the precision, or their teammate does res them and then their teammate dies to the precision, and also you've downed the other teammate who tried to res because he's dumb. So precision airstrikes become way more important in the late game.
Yeah.
This is also where self-res is the most valuable. This is also where self-res is most valuable relative to its value earlier on. The later in the game it is, the more valuable self-res becomes. You can also consider getting an armor or munitions box if you've got a fuck ton of money. And if you're doing the rush strat really well and you've done like 4 bounties this game, you guys are loaded. Especially because you've looted all those bodies also. So have a box. Have something. Also, if you haven't yet gotten a gas mask, get that as well. This can easily be the difference between winning and losing, and it has been. I've gotten second place probably 5 times because I forgot to buy a gas mask. Not because I didn't have money to buy a gas mask, but because I forgot to. Don't be me. Buy a gas mask if you don't have one, and it's late game.
I usually don't end up buying them, to be honest. We usually find them.
But if you guys,
find them, yes, if you guys are just stacked up and have so much extra money, then it's a good time to just buy them. I mean, if you guys like mostly have streaks, everyone has self-res, and you combined have like 20 grand still, to just buy gas masks. I mean, don't just waste all the money. Save some if you have to buy teammates back and whatnot. But gas mask, if you're loaded, I would say do it. But like when you get to that certain point, every person I kill, it feels like they already have one. And
yeah, most
they're
of the
also
time, true. Yeah.
They're also pretty easy to find on ground loot now. Like I feel like we always find them anyways.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So typically, hopefully, you don't have to buy them and you'll just get one for free.
Yes. Yes. Also, too, this is when you might want to consider calling in a Blackbird. What that means is you buy 3 UAVs and you pop them at the same time. If you have 3 active UAVs at once, then you get like an advanced UAV, which shows everyone on the map, every enemy on the map, unless they have ghost and they're within 200 meters. So if you call 3 UAVs and there's a team who has ghost, but they are 500 meters away from you, they will show up. If they're right next to you and they have ghost, they will not show up. But if they don't have ghost, no matter where they are, and you call an advanced UAV, call 3 UAVs at the same time, they will show up on your map. If you have a lot of money and you already have self-reses and maybe a box or 2 and you're just vibing, call in an advanced UAV. If there's a fire sale and you guys are not hurting for cash, call in an advanced UAV.
Yes, fire sale, really good time to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So that is another thing you can do. It just depends on how much money you have and how well your game is going and how much you need. Because you do always want to save some money in case you need to like buy a teammate back. But however, let's say you have a lot of money and you know the circle is going into an area where there is no buy station. If you're never going to spend money again and you have everything you need, you might as well call an advanced UAV, because this is the last time you're going to be using your money.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to save it to res a teammate anyway. So just get the advanced UAV.
And that's something we've definitely been paying attention to a lot more lately is we'll check where the circle's going. And we've done that often these last couple weeks. And we're like, okay, there's going to be no buy station here. This is the last buy station we're going to hit. Buy everything you can.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Try to find power positions in the circle in this late game that you can also easily rotate out of. This is where you need to turn off your chimp brain. And I know you like to just push everything. Talking to you, Jacob. I know you're just a chimp and you just want to push everything. But once it's late game, you need to turn that off and start thinking, okay, this is a pretty small circle. There's 6 total teams now. Let me plug the fuck in. Where is this next circle going? Okay. Where in this next circle is the best spot on the map to be? Let's go there. That's what you need to do. You should worry a lot less at this point about pushing people, even if you're doing the rushing strategy, than about controlling power positions. And by virtue of controlling a power position, you're going to get more kills anyway. So this is a win-win situation. So look where the next circle is going. And again, high ground is king. There's a giant cliff here, and we can get to it now because I don't see anyone up there. Let's get up there because I can easily rotate out of it. And also it's the highest ground and I can't get flanked here. Do that. Or there's only one building. Go there if you can, right? You want to get in the most advantageous position that you possibly can be in without dying getting there, obviously.
Yeah.
So, these will typically, again, be high ground on ridges or mountains with some rocks or trees for cover, or on, again, as I said, the rooftops of tall buildings. But also keep in mind, like, if the circle's like in the ravine by downtown, and like there's one downtown building in the circle and the rest of it is ravine, guess what? There's already a team in that building on the rooftop.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's already people there, so don't push it. You will die. You will die. So instead, what you might have to do, adapt and overcome, maybe get in the bottom floor of that building, vibe out, and then hope that the circle pulls towards you and then figure it out later.
Yeah.
But, yeah. What are your thoughts on these rotates later on?
Yeah, you have to just play. You have to be very smart with positioning and not like, don't let yourself just rush into a dumb position, which I feel like we do too often sometimes. Like, you can win games just by positioning. Like, Lag showed us that. When was that? Wednesday night? Tuesday night? He showed us that you can win a game literally by positioning. It was in downtown and he was 1v3.
1v3.
He had like no ammo. Long story short, there's a clip of it somewhere. There's a clip in our Discord in the Dropshot clip section. You should go look at it. But he won the game by staying in downtown, staying on top of roofs, not peeking them too much, playing smart, and final circle, he had a self-res and he was able to win that game versus 3 other enemies because he played it smart. He damaged them. He let the gas hit them. You know, he went down. He used his self-res last minute, and he got the win for us. And that was 1v3. So, like, positioning can be everything at the end. You just really have to be smart. It's kind of hard to explain how to do it because it's like it's always going to be totally different. But basically, like, the number one thing is get the high ground if you can have it and just play smart. Like, don't peek if you don't have to. Just wait for that zone to move where it's going to go and just follow it and try to avoid the fight unless it directly comes to you and you don't really have a choice.
Yes. Agreed. And then another thing too here to be careful of is that you usually want the high ground, but you don't always want it. So if the last circle is like a hill in the dead center of the circle, surrounded by like its slope, it's not the best example, but there are times where, like, if it's dead center and you can get shot from every angle, even if you have high ground, it might not be great. So it's tough. You got to play a lot and you'll figure it out. But in general, it's high ground. So anyways, let's move on here. Keep your eyes. This is a pro tip, actually, that I don't even use this enough, but I'm trying to more and more. This is a pro tip, okay? For you chimps. Keep your eyes.
Calling a lot of people chimps tonight. Kind of rude.
Well, I played with Jake McBango and L2K, so I...
Is that Jake's latest? Is it
call me
calling them
Jane
chimps?
Goodall, dude, because I've just been working with chimps today, okay?
Interesting.
That's a giant brain joke. Not
Interesting.
really.
Okay.
She's pretty popular. Primatologist, doesn't matter. Keep your eyes on the UI, the user interface, to determine how many other teams and how many other people there are. If you know there's only one dude left, for example, then when you see him, you will know that no one else is going to shoot you in the back because that dude is right there and he's the last one in the game.
Yeah.
This is actually a pro tip that I don't use often enough. Like in the top
You
right,
don't look at that late game, really?
I forget to.
Really?
Like, you can look in the top right of your screen and there is a counter for how many teams are in the match and also for how many people are in the match. So if you're playing quads and it says there are 2 teams and 5 people left and your whole squad's alive, guess what? There's only 1 enemy left. Whereas if it says there's 12 teams and like, you know, whatever, 30 people left, becomes a little more complicated. But then it would mean there's 11 teams and a maximum of, or a number of, whatever, 26 people. So this info actually comes in handy. And I
mean, you should just get better, honestly.
So you look at this all the time, Tanner.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, almost always when we get the final kill, I know like right away that that's the final kill and that we just won the game.
Okay.
So you're just shit, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go back and listen to the tips and tricks part.
Maybe I
of
should,
this segment.
Here we go. Yeah, maybe I should. When do you start looking at this UI on a serious note, or are you kind of always?
I don't really.
Impressed?
No, I don't look at it for most of the game. It's honestly like last few circles. I would say usually when I look at that point, when I start paying attention, there's less than 20 enemies remaining. That's when I really start to look. We should also just call it out more often, honestly.
That's true.
We should just people should just be like, okay, like 10 left. Because I feel like usually we don't start calling it until there's like probably like 7 or 8 people. That's when somebody's really paying attention to it. And they're like, okay, 3 teams left, this many people, whatever. So I think we just need to be better about calling that out for each other, since obviously you're fucking garbage and you don't listen or pay attention.
Well, I listen.
Okay.
Let's move on. Yeah, but this is something that isn't really worth paying attention to early game, but late game, it becomes more and more important.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll be in like a pretty big circle and there's only 3 teams left. You're like, oh shit, there's only 3 teams left.
Nice little treat.
Yeah. And it's good info because if you know where 2 teams are, then you know where everyone in the lobby is. So it's good info to have. And you should get in the habit of doing that later game. A general point, play smarter at this point. Do better. Very, very wary of abandoning your position if it's a powerful one. So if you've gotten into one of these power positions that we were talking about, and you get someone weak, and they get behind a rock, and your dick gets real hard, and your chimp brain takes over, and you want to just fucking send it, be careful. Are you sure you want to do that? Because if that's not the last guy alive, you might get shit on because you left your good spot and now you're dead. And then that guy plates up and shoots your body and teabags you.
Yeah.
Not great. Not great. A recurring theme in this broadcast, you would rather have not gotten the kill than be dead, right? So don't give up the power positions, especially later game like this.
Don't give it up.
Yeah. And then also, try to control the last buy station if you can. And make sure you use it if you can before it's no longer possible. We kind of talked about that a little bit. But apart from a power position, there's also power in and of itself being the one next to the last buy station. Because then if your teammate dies, you can just buy him back because you control the buy station.
When you're that late, though, there's very rarely a buy station in the circle, or if it is, I swear they're always right in the middle. And so, like, to what we were just talking about, you don't want to give up that good positioning just to buy your teammate back. Even if they're just sitting there crying, they're saying, please buy me back. Rash is just in my ear, please buy me back. And I just have to fucking mute him and tell him to shut the hell up.
Fake news. Fake news. I sacrifice myself for the good of the team.
Yeah. Okay.
There are times, though, when it is relatively rare, but like, I feel like last circle ends sometimes on like top of dam at that fire station where that buy is. If you can control that fire station, you also control that buy really good.
Yeah, true. The one team to that's us. We still beat them, of course. But
we did because we had the better position. Exactly. So that's where it's complicated.
Don't give up the power position.
Don't give up the power position, but you just have to factor in the buy station. If you can control the last buy station, very strong. Because then you can buy more plates, you can buy a box, you can buy another self. You can down someone, buy a precision, call it, buy another one for the next person you want to down. And I see people that are really good doing this all the time. And that is not an option you have if you don't control the buy station. What were you going to say?
True. I was gonna say that's a good showing of like when positioning is so important. Is that like that team? We had a game where we were playing quads and we were southwest of fire right there, up above dam, controlling that hill because we had done the Recon rat strat. And there was a team in fire station. There was a buy and they were controlling it. So there was 4 of them in there. It was just me and Bango left. You and L were dead, and you guys, you know, ideally you guys wanted to be bought back, but it's like you guys knew it wasn't the smart move. So we held our power position there, and eventually we knew the gas was going to come towards us. So we could have snuck in there and tried to buy you guys, but you know what? If you even go for that buy, if I end up dying, cool. I just got you back. So you're landing with no loot, and then I'm the one who had my loadout and everything, and I'm dead.
Exactly.
So it doesn't even make any sense. You have to hold that power position, but a lot of times holding that buy station does work well. And it worked well for that team for a while. They had some battles there. They killed some other teams trying to get up to that buy station. Too. Yes. They held that as long as they could, but ultimately our positioning, we won that game.
Yes. Excellent point there. And that's an excellent demonstration of what we're talking about. Positioning is just so important. And you guys won that 2v4. Because you had the better spot.
Exactly. 2v4.
Just the better positioning. That's it. 100% true. What was I going to say on this point?
And we're just built different.
You are, of course, built different. Shout out to Bango for carrying all 3 of us.
Well,
yeah. Okay. So, and then last point here. When the circle starts relocating, so this is like final circle. So it's like the circle gets smaller. And then eventually, it doesn't get smaller anymore. It moves. Okay? So it just moves to a different spot. Pretty close, but a different spot. And then it will move one more time. And then it will collapse until there is no safe area left on the map. That's how these ends. And then there's a stim glitcher, 3 clicks west of you, who wins the game as you choke on Zyklon B or whatever it is.
Who's teabagging you as he's stim glitching and wins the game.
That's of course true. And he's blaring, anyways. When the circle does start relocating though at this time, if it comes to this, try to get in the gas so that you are where the circle will end up before anyone else does. You might even take some gas damage, or at the least you're going to take gas mask durability hits doing this. However, you'll be able to gatekeep people. This goes back to what we were talking about in mid-game. If you're inside the circle before other people are and they have to come to you, you have the advantage of just waiting for them to show up. And when the circle's relocating, you'll know where it's going to go before it starts moving for like 10 seconds. Get there as soon as you can, if safe and possible. Take the gas damage. That's fine. Because then you can just vibe. And again, you might take some damage doing this. You might take some hits to your durability on your gas mask doing this. But it's worth it. Because then you can gatekeep people who are trying to enter the relocated circle who are coming with the safe zone, where you were willing to take damage getting to the safe zone before it was even safe. And then just like we were talking about earlier with the mid game, where you can get just inside circle, get on a roof and gatekeep, you could do the same thing in this very last circle. Get to like the closest next safe zone from where you are now, stay there, take some gas damage, and then wait, because those kids are going to have to come to you. If you can get this relocate first, you will very often win the game. Very often win the game. And when I watch all of these really good Warzone players stream, whom I watch, they will do this as often as they possibly can. Obviously, don't overextend to make this play. Don't like get ripped doing it if they have a clear line of sight on you. But if you can do this, you should. Because then, you know, they have to come to you and you just shit on them. And it's very advantageous to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is also, by the way, a good time if you have a precision airstrike to call it.
Yes. Try to Kobe them.
Try to Kobe them. Try to call the precision airstrike where the next safe zone is going to be, like right when it starts moving, so that as they're going, they're either going to eat gas or they're going to eat a carpet bombing. Either way, you're vibing. Or they're just going to like wait and try to like run away from it. It'll put them in an awkward spot, and then you can kill them too because they're like not by cover or something.
Exactly. I feel like you're not usually going to get kills that late, but what you're going to do is really screw them up and like force them to move somewhere they don't want to move.
Exactly.
And that's what will really benefit you. But yeah, moving to the last moving circle, or getting to the last part of the moving circle before the safe zone is actually there, so you're in the gas for a few seconds, that's a really big brain play. And that usually works out really well because most people don't think to do that. When that last small circle is moving, they stay with it the entire time. But the big brain move is get in front of it if you can. You'll catch them off guard for sure. Then they'll come in, and you know they'll be having to rip their gas mask off or put their gas mask on, however you do it, and you'll be sitting there with yours already on. So you'll have the advantage. You won't have to go through that bullshit animation.
True. Yeah.
You'll be able to throw grenades when you hear them coming. Throw a thermite if you have that. You know, cut off their lane, stun them, whatever. It'll work out really well.
100%. Dose. 100%. Yeah. Have you ever actually done this yourself?
No, I'm usually dead by then.
Okay. Very cool.
Oh, it's always dead.
Well, keep that in mind.
Or we already won the game.
It usually doesn't come to this, yeah. Usually, most of the time, you'll win before the relocating circle happens, but not always.
Yeah.
Not always. And in that case, this is a good tip to have. Try to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much it for rushing strat late game. Do you have anything to add on the late game point or to the mid or early or in general overarching points? Any other thoughts kind of about this rush strat?
We said it at the beginning, but just because we're calling this the rush strategy, it doesn't mean you have to be like Huskers. Like this rush strategy is very generic. You know, this is how you can play if you're like a 1.0 KD player and you get like maybe 5 kills a Warzone match. You're getting like above 5 is like a really good game for you. This is still the way you should be playing. I mean, you know, this isn't like just for kill races or something like Raz had said. I mean, this is just a generic overview of how people should probably usually be playing if they're not doing like the Recon rat strat. So I think everything we said here is pretty good. I don't think I have to add anything else.
Agreed. Yeah, exactly. A good point on the kill race thing too. So that's the rush strat. That's the early game, the mid game, and the late game. So now we're going to get into the Recon strat. But first, quite a few acknowledgments that I have missed. So let me... Well, not that many. We'll get into it. Okay, where are we here? So... Mullet. Proof. Bunk. Jesus, okay. Has gifted fucking to round out a nice, even, crisp 50 for the month of February. Black History Month, of course. In celebration of Black History Month, Mullet Proof Bunk has gifted 23 Submarinos to the program. An absolute mad lad, a demon, a god king, a supporter, a poor money saver. I don't know what I was looking for there. Whatever. He wastes his money, of course, on this program. But we appreciate it. Mullet, you're fucking nuts, dude. 23 gifted subs. A lot of scratch. A lot of love. 77 subs this program, by the way. Jesus Christ. This is a Saturday for sure. And we, of course, love to see it. Mullet, I really fucking appreciate it, dude. And another gifted sub from Mullet for a good fucking 24, dude. The mad fucking lad. Fuck around numbers, Mullet says. Okay. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take another one. Mullet, I love and appreciate you, dude. You're at 601 total gifted subs, by the way. Jesus Christ. That's insane. Mullet, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you, brother. Also, Iron Ranger, aka Jaren, with the fucking 4 months. Primarino, dude. You love to see that. Jaren, thank you, sir. I appreciate you, brother. Means a lot. Welcome back, dude. Good to have you here. A relative new frog, but a very supportive one. And we appreciate that, of course. So, Jaren, thank you, dude, for the sub. And Prolamos donated 5 United States dollars, which is a great way to support the program. Just donate. Donations, right? I'd be able to donate more, but I'm a broke college student. Maybe one day I'll get free housing and food for being on the varsity COD team, like every other varsity team at my university. Doubt it. But for now, they give us a pat on the back and spit in our mouths. Well, wow. Prolamos. COD pro, COD athlete, like Birdman. Thanks for the $5, dude. I appreciate it. Don't donate more. Don't donate anything, really. Well, that's wrong. Donate everything. But, you know, I'm glad you guys are listening. You don't need to donate to support the program. But it's helpful. So, thank you, Prol. I appreciate it, dude. But if you're a broke college student, stop it. Close your PayPal account. Anyways, appreciate it, dude. Thank you, brother. All right, now let's move on to the Recon Raz strategy.
Recon Raz.
So again, we're going to go through early game, mid game, late game, and we're going to start with the class setups. These are pretty similar to the rush strategy setups, and I'll show them for you here. So this is an example of a sniper loadout number 1 class. So in this example, we've got a sniper rifle with an assault rifle secondary. We've got EOD, overkill, amped, thermite, stun grenade. Pretty straightforward. And again, the tactical can be swapped for heartbeat sensor. The lethal can be swapped for Semtex or Claymore. You don't really need Claymores on your first loadout if you're doing the Recon Raz strat, but you do need it on your second one, which we'll get into. But it matters less before you have restock. So it's overkill, sniper, and, an assault rifle. And we gave some HDR builds in our first episode. I'll link to those Imager albums again in the show notes.
I think it's Imgur.
Imgur, okay. But yeah, this is a good recon class with a sniper because oftentimes you will be on a rooftop raining death upon people. And then that's loadout number 1. Loadout number 2 example with sniper primary is going to be a sniper rifle with fully loaded, so you get full sniper ammo, and then a pistol with fully loaded, not because you necessarily need the SMG ammo, but because why not? You might as well have it, so you can give it to a teammate, or in case you want to pick up an SMG later, you can do that and you'll have ammo for it. And then, and more importantly, what you're going to get here is restock instead of overkill. The lethal is Claymore, and that is non-negotiable. The one argument I will hear is proximity mine. Maybe, but also probably not. We'll get into why. But Claymore is the lethal. Tactical is a stun. Again, non-negotiable. This is, of course, a camper loadout, which we'll get into. And then here is another loadout number 1 example. This one's just an AR primary. Everything else is the same. And then loadout number 2 with an AR primary. Again, fully loaded with a pistol fully loaded. You got full ammo on both guns. And again, restock clays. Pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. And we'll get into why we're doing that now. But that this whole album will be linked in the show notes. There are 2 main strategies for doing the recon strat in the early game. Number 1, you can split up and grab as many helicopters as you can. So if you're playing quads or 3s or 2s, you guys can split up and each try to grab a separate helicopter. Okay. Ideally, everyone gets their chopper. From here, you will be fucking gone. You will be flying as far away as is possible to do from everyone else. And ideally what you want to find is an area with a high density of recon contracts that is very far away from the first zone, such that it is unlikely that other people are going to be there. Loot up if it's convenient, but much more importantly, you want to start doing recons as quickly as fucking possible.
You can bang them out quickly too.
Yes, you can. So
You
for
can really
example,
knock out recons.
yes, if the plane is going like straight down the middle of the map, okay, and the circle is in like the bottom left of Verdansk, where it's only like Prom West, some of Train Station and Boneyard. If you can get a helicopter and go to Quarry and do 5 recons, no one's going to be in Quarry because they're all trying to be in the around the first zone. But if you get a helicopter, you can get there whenever you want. So fly to Quarry, no one's there, do 8 recons, uncontested, and then you know where last zone is, you can fly your choppers at your leisure. The more contracts you do, the more money you are awarded for their completion. So I don't know if we've actually covered this, but when you do contract number 1, doesn't matter what type of contract it is, you get a 100% reward. So X amount of dollars, X times 100%, X times 1. For mullet's sake. Okay. If you do recon 2, contract number 2, then your reward for contract number 2 will be X times 1.2, 120%. So imagine if you do 6 recons. Your reward for the contract number 6 is like 2.6 or 2.8. And there's this multiplicative effect. So if you don't loot anything at all and you do 6 recons, you will all have a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
Just based on this multiplication thing. And you'll also know where the second to last or last circle is. So that's one strategy. Again, the main thing here, early game of recon strat, is to do a fuck ton of recons so that you know where the last circle is. Alternatively, if you don't want to split up and get a bunch of choppers, you can land on the train. Now, not train station, but the actual train. So there is a train that is always on a static path driving in a circle around the southwest corner of Verdansk. Its northmost track is north of ATC.
Mm-hmm.
Its westmost is west of Boneyard. Its southmost is south of Promenade. Its eastmost is east of Hospital. That's the square that it drives in. Sometimes this track will all be within the first circle. That means you can do the train strat and not die to gas. Sometimes none of the train will be in the circle. That's when you don't want to do the train strat because you'll die, right? So the thing about the train is a couple things. Number one, a lot of great loot, a ton of orange boxes. You're going to get a fuck ton of money even if you don't do any contracts if you loot the entire train. There's also the little ammo refill station on the train, which is nice. But most importantly, a recon contract will always spawn there. And when you pick up the recon contract, the location at which you will cap that recon is also on the train. And then once you do that, another recon contract will spawn on the train in like a minute, and then that will also be capped on the train. So you can theoretically stay on the train and cap 7 recons in a row without ever getting off of the train.
Yeah.
This is an alternate strategy you can take because this, like the helicopter strat, will allow you to do a fuck ton of recons in a row. The train strategy guarantees that you'll have enough recons to get the information and money that you need. But it is also the more dangerous play as you can get ripped by people who are just camping you. This strategy, I would say, is higher risk, higher reward than the helicopter split up strategy. What are your thoughts, Tanner?
I don't know if it's necessarily like harder to do or it's higher risk to do the moving train strat, because early round, if you're playing quads or something, like your whole team tries to split and all get helicopters, that's pretty hard to do unless you're good, honestly. Like, people always land at the helicopters. You're often going to have to fight someone. Even if you get out of there, you're going to be getting shot at. You're going to have to learn how to maneuver and fly the helicopter correctly so you don't get destroyed. And then you're all going to have to meet up with your team again. And that's it's pretty difficult to do, honestly. I feel like for beginners and like average players, you should almost just try the recon strat instead. I feel like that's easier because at least all your team, the train strat, because at least all your teammates will be in the same exact spot. You guys won't have to worry about splitting up and trying to get into gunfights on your own, etc.
That's fair.
Because then also with the helicopter thing, I feel like it's just so easy to end up getting shot down or shot out of the helicopter, and then the whole thing is just scuffed at that point.
Because then you need an exfil.
Exactly.
Because you're alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're I'm glad you brought that up. Because when you are doing the helicopter split up strat, you have to realize you're alone and you probably don't have many guns. You should try and land on a rooftop, pick up a gun or a plate, some ammo, and then keep flying.
That's what Iron does.
That is what Iron does, yes. But the primary goal is to start doing recons ASAP. But the thing too with the helicopter strat, I think they're both relatively high risk. If you get good with the helicopter thing though, you can fly low in between buildings using them as cover. So here's another tip for helicopters. Don't go as high into the air as you possibly can to avoid people, because what you're actually doing is giving everyone in the map a clear line of sight to shoot you. If you're super low and you're between two buildings, then no one can shoot you unless they're inside of those two buildings. Whereas if you're high in the air, everyone can shoot you. So if you're trying to not get shot, your instinct might be to get away from them by going up. Don't do that. You want to get low and put a building or a mountain in between you and the people shooting you.
Yep.
There's another thing to keep in mind.
You do naturally just want to go up high in the chopper.
Yep.
Because you keep thinking you can go up higher, and then you level out, or you max out your height, and you're like, this is as high as I can go, really.
And
now
I'm still
just
getting shit on.
Yeah, now I'm just so easy to shoot down. Yeah. So it is better just to stay low.
100%. So this is why. So Tanner brought up a good point, which is that even the helicopter split up strat, it's tough. It can be easy if you happen to fly somewhere and no one's really shooting at you, then it is easy. But sometimes, a lot of times, that's not what happens. You'll get shot at, and you need to not take gunfights because you're 1v4 or 3 or 2.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that, especially early game. So this is why in the pros and cons, when we talked about the recon strat versus the rushing strat, I was saying recon strat is definitely more complicated. Knowing when to take this fight. When should I loot this gun? When should I just get the fuck out of here? How do I get the fuck out of here? Takes more practice. Takes more thought. But anyways, those are the two rough strategies for doing recons. Mm-hmm. The difference also too is that you can't always do the train strat depending on the first circle. You can always split up and do helicopter strat though. Unless you're playing solos. Then you can't do that because there's no choppers in solos. So then you can either do the train strat or you can do neither, which is like go somewhere, hopefully get a Bertha, do recons that way. But that's like roughly similar to the helicopter strat. But anyways, you will want to do recons until you know where the most powerful position in the final circle or close to the final circle will be. This is a tricky art that will take some practice.
This is an art, huh? Interesting.
Yes. Sometimes, for example, there will be multiple buildings in the final circle, and you'll have to figure out which of these is the best one to take. And we'll talk about that more later, but I think this is something we alluded to last week, on Tuesday rather. Is that correct, Tanner?
Yeah.
And we were saying we've actually been fucked. I don't know if we said this on Tuesday or in a Patreon episode, but we've been fucked where we've done a lot of recons. We thought we did enough and we didn't because we're chimps and it's too complicated for us. Or we like choose the wrong position in the final circle and then we get fucked. Or we spend too much time debating where to go now that we've done all these recons that we start getting shit on and then we get squad wiped while we're bickering about where we should be playing. And then we get fucked. Mm-hmm. It's kind of one of the cons of the recon strat.
Yeah.
Just a lot more complicated.
And then it ends up being extremely frustrating at that point when that happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for this early game, if everything is going well, you should have enough money to buy your overkill loadout, your first loadout, before the free one drops, just like the rush strat. Then you want to look at the final circle and pick your loadout accordingly. So for example, if the final circle is in downtown, then you're going to want a sniper, like an HDR. And it's going to be better than like an AMAX with a VLK on it.
Yeah.
The opposite is true if the final circle is somewhere in farmland. Because in farmland, you're not going to have a long line of sight on anything. So it actually wouldn't make sense to use a sniper. You'd want an AR with an SMG. So that's an advantage of this, is you can tailor which class you pick based on your knowledge of where that final circle is, and then pick the best loadout.
Yeah, and this is what we do when we do the recon strat, is we do think about those things. We're like, okay, it's going here, everyone get a sniper, or, you know, the zone is going above dam or something. Maybe let's not all run snipers. Maybe somebody get a AR SMG kit or something. But I feel like for the most part with this setup, we are almost always running snipers, and then probably, well, right now AR isn't like the FFAR, which is more of an SMG anyways.
Yeah, it's both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, that's true. And then real quick, how many recons should I do? Excellent question. I don't know. There's another reason that this is harder or more complicated at least than the rush strat, is that I will watch like It's Iron or OP Marked or these guys who do recon strat all the time. They will sometimes, I swear to God, do 3 recons and they'll be done. They have enough information and they know where they're playing the rest of the game. I'm not
because
kidding.
they know the circles at this point.
Kind of, yeah. But it's also like, even though it's only the third circle that they're seeing and it's still pretty big, there's only like one building or like one ridgeline. So they're no matter where this goes, this is the best spot. You know? But then other times,
an art for sure.
It's an art for sure. Because then other times they'll do 5 and they'll be like, we have to do one more. and then they'll do it. So like knowing how many recons to do, excellent question. Depends on how much information whatever circle you know gives you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's an easy decision. Oftentimes it's not. So
what would you say for most people, like the minimum amount of recons to do? Maybe like 3 or 4 at an absolute minimum, probably.
Absolute minimum, I would say 3, but again, it just depends where it goes.
And that'll usually hardly give you any info at that point anyways.
Yeah. Like if it's like ending downtown, 3 will never be enough.
No.
Because there's so many buildings. But if it's ending like, west of Promenade West, maybe 3 is enough. Because there's nothing there but like that one tower and that dumb racetrack. Like, okay,
racetrack.
well,
True.
I'm going to play on the highest hill in this no man's land and hold it. And it doesn't matter where it rotates. I'll be in the best position. And then again, scout the free loadout drop, the communal one, and see how many boxes are around. Play accordingly, and then go and grab your restock class. Another advantage of the recon strat too is that by this time, your contract bonus is so high that if you feel like the community loadout drop is going to be too hot and not worth it, buy a second loadout. Oh, you don't have enough money? Go do one more contract. Any contract, doesn't matter. You could even do a supply run since you have 4 choppers.
Yeah, true.
Complete it in 2 seconds, and now everyone gets $40,000. You could buy another loadout. Like, you have so much more money doing this strategy that you are a lot less obligated to take the free loadout drop.
Yeah.
Anything to add here on the reconning strat early game?
I don't think so. No, it's kind of easy to get sidetracked early game doing the recon strat. But if you're trying to do this successfully, you have to stick to the recons. Just keep doing them. Don't push people yet, especially if you don't have your loadout. You need to successfully start it off well, because if early game is chalked and you're not doing the recons correctly, the rest of the game is just done pretty much. You're not going to be able to recover. You won't have time to do enough recons. There won't be enough left. Everyone else will have their loadies before you. Yes. So you have to just stick with it and just keep rolling with it.
True. And that's a great point. If you're doing recons and you get like sidetracked and like it's pretty late now, you don't have to just leave the game, but you're probably not doing recon strat for the rest of this game. You need to just shift to like playing rush strat, kind of. And hopefully you have some recons, so you have a little extra info, but you're not going to be able to like finish this strategy. The early game needs to go well for you to execute the mid and late game of this particular strategy. And then also, as Tanner said, it's important you move quickly, because the longer the game goes on, the longer the early game goes on, the more and more other teams are going to have loadouts. And if they start getting loadouts and UAVs, they're going to start ripping the shit out of you. So you need to move quick. And you want to get to that power position as soon as possible. Because also, there might be another team doing recon strats. And they might get to the last power position before you do. And they're going to be all set up in the same way that you intend to set up. And it's very, very difficult to take a building when a recon rat team has their restock claymores on every possible doorway. And they're all just waiting for someone to come in. So that's another reason you want to move quick doing recons. You want to get loadout as soon as possible. You want to get the fuck out of hot areas as soon as possible, and you want to get set up as soon as possible. So that's a big thing too with the recon strat, is you got to move quick. So now let's move on to the mid game strategy. Once the restock class is secured, you will want to buy everything that you will need as soon as possible. Here's the weakness of the recon strat. Because you're not pushing people and looting corpses, you're not just going to always be full of AR ammo or sniper ammo. You're not just going to always loot people's money. or gas masks
Yeah.
or plates. You're not going to loot shit. So
You're a rat.
because you're a camping rat, of course. So when you're doing the recon strat in the mid game, you need to have everything you will need without leaving your power position or building. Ideally, everyone has satchels, an armor box, a munitions box, everyone has self-res, everyone has gas mask, and everyone has precision airstrikes. Now you might be thinking, wow, that sounds expensive. It is. But also, you've done 6 recons, you have money for it. I promise you, you will have the money for it. The difficulty is coordinating this. Okay, Tanner, what box do you have? I have an armor. Cool. I'll buy munitions. L, what box do you have? He's fallen asleep at his computer because he's hammered. Okay, great. Bango, what box do you have? Okay. Do you guys have self-res? Yes, yes, no. I'm going to give you money for it, etc. Coordinating all these things. Once you're in the groove of it and you have a team that you can do it with reliably, everyone knows the deal and you guys do it pretty quick. But you need to remember all of this stuff because you're not going to be able to go loot these things in general. From here, however, the strategy is actually quite simple. And we've talked about this before. Doing the recon strat is backloading the fun and exciting part. And it's investing in your fun and victory. Very little. Ideally, you don't see a goddamn soul until the second to last circle. Actually, that's the ideal way that this goes. Seldom happens that way, but sometimes it can. But that's ideal.
And then it gets very, very hot.
Exactly. You're investing in the fun you will have at the end of the match. So from here, once you bought all the things you need, the strategy is very simple. Go to the most powerful position as close to the final circle as possible. Now, this might be a building, might be on top of a cliff. And here are a couple points on this. Certain buildings will be more defensible than others. And it's also going to depend on what the size of your squad is. For example, some buildings, you can only get to the second floor through one staircase. You guessed it. That's a good building. Because you can defend that very easily. You have restock.
That's a rat's nest right there.
That's a rat's nest, exactly. You have restock and you have claymores. You put a fuck ton of claymores on the one staircase. So if someone runs up, they're either instantly going to die, or at least you will know that someone's there, so you can stop looking out of the window and focus your attention on the people who you know are downstairs. You'll never be surprised with the recon strat.
Yeah.
But again, some buildings can only be entered through one staircase. Super easy to defend, even in solos, let alone duos, trios, or quads. Other buildings have 8 rappel points, 5 staircases, 2 jump spots, and a portal. These are not ideal choices to defend.
A portal, huh?
Because you can't put a claymore on every entryway. Here's a real example. The roof of airport. That's hard to hold because there are 3 or 4 rappels and it's tough to defend that. It's possible to do in quads because you have 4 people. It's possible to do in trios because you have 3 people, 2 claymores each. It's even possible in duos technically, but you're going to be doing a lot of running around, and it's impossible in solos. You can't defend every rappel. So, again, it depends on the building, depends on the rooftop, depends on how big your squad is. But this is the strategy, again, is to find the best building. Ideally, you can defend it. You claymore every entryway. And the claymores, you're not even trying to get kills with them, although it's nice if you do. You just want them there so that if they get detonated, you know someone's there.
Yeah, you don't get kills with them that often, honestly. It is more of just like Think of it as a little alarm system for yourself.
Exactly. It's an alarm system.
Yeah, you've found the rat's nest, you've infiltrated it, you're defending it, and you've got an alarm installed, so you're good to go.
Yes. And a point on that is that you don't want to put your Claymore somewhere like this. Isn't multiplayer. The goal of the Claymore, again, is not to get kills necessarily. It's to alert you that someone is there. So if you're putting it at the bottom of a staircase that someone can jump over, you've lost.
Yeah.
Because then that defeats the whole purpose of the Claymore. Put it somewhere dumb and obvious and very easy to see, because then they'll at least have to shoot it, and then you know they're there. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, don't expect to just get kills constantly. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Is if you put it in the correct places on the staircase, then there's nothing they can do. They want to get up there and try to kill you. They have no choice but to just shoot it, and then you know they're coming, and then you have the advantage because you have height advantage on them, and you know they're coming. So, pretty simple. Exactly.
So once you've chosen your building, Claymore every possible entryway. If you don't, you've defeated the purpose and you can get surprised. That's not what you want. I think we've gone over this. It's of course possible to get downs and kills using Claymores. It's not going to happen very often. However, 2 Claymores on an opponent with full plates who does not have EOD will be an instant down. 3 Claymores will get an instant down on literally anyone, even if they have EOD and full plates. That's why it's also good to choose places with fewer choke points, because if you're in quads and there's only 2 choke points, then you can triple clay both entryways and you'll get an instant down if they don't shoot it, if they actually trigger it.
If they're that dumb, yeah.
If they're that dumb, yes. Or if they're in a panic and they have to get to cover because they're getting third-partied. Then they turn the corner.
That too.
Oops. Dead.
Oops.
Call me Chris Deleted. Chris
Yeah.
Deleted. Who made a YouTube video, by the way.
Really?
About his return. Yeah. He's like,
is he coming back?
I'm a sex addict. I've cheated on my fiance. It was weird. It was weird, but it's worth a watch.
His fiance made him do it, yeah.
That's of course true. So yeah. From this point, once you've Claymored everything, one thing to keep in mind is if a Claymore gets set off, obviously turn your attention to these people, kill them, or they'll fuck off or whatever. Make sure you always have the Claymores set again. Reset them. I was playing duos with L2K and we were doing this strategy, and we were very meticulous about re-Claymoring everything that got set off, and we were never surprised. These guys were running from staircase to staircase, trying really hard to surprise us. But because we were very disciplined in reclaying every Claymore that went off, we were always covered. And we were never surprised, which was their intention. So just make sure you do that. And then from here, you just fucking vibe, dude.
Any vibers?
You vibe, dude. Don't leave the building pretty much ever. Because you're throwing if you leave the building. You're in the last circle, in the only building in this final circle. Don't leave the building. Oh, you got a down on that guy? And he's alone and he's one shot and you don't see anyone else? I don't care. Let him be. Let his teammates res him. What the fuck
it's
are
so
they?
easy to want to leave the building too.
It is.
You have to just not. It's so easy to leave.
It's super easy, but what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Res him? Oh no. They'll die anyway. They're going to die at some point anyway. Don't throw. Don't leave the building. And then also snipe at people trying to come in to the progressively shrinking circle. If you get set up very early, it's going to be slow for a while, probably. But at some point, circle gets closer and closer and closer to you. And then things go from 0 to 100 real quick. And then you're having an absolute blast. But this whole time, you're kind of looking out windows, trying to get easy picks, easy snipes. You're
vibing, you're chatting.
You're vibing, you're chatting, you're playing Cards Against Humanity, you're doing what you want to do. Swiping, perhaps. as long as you're in a building and not on a ridge, of course, in the complete open. Save your precision airstrikes for when one of you gets a down to secure the kill. Don't precision someone behind a rock if they're alive. They're going to run. Save it for when you get a down and then you're finishing the kill. That's why you have the precisions. Or save them for late game if it's getting later into the match. And that's pretty much what you're going to do for the entire mid game, actually. Tanner, how am I doing so far? Any other thoughts on the mid game for the reconnaissance strategy?
No, not yet. You've pretty much got, I mean, you still have a few things here to hit, and I think that's pretty much perfect for everything. Yeah, it's kind of just, I mean, you pretty much said it best. You honestly just kind of chill and vibe. I mean, there's some games, depending on where the circle's going, that like we come across a lot of people, and then like the next game we won't see anyone for like minutes at a time. We're just sitting there. And it gets so boring, but like you just have to know, like, do you want to get that win? Do you want to get kills? At this point, you've already taken so long, you've already been sitting there. You may as well keep playing through this recon strat to get that win at least. Or at least get yourself a good chance to get there.
And it's going to get more fun. You just have to believe in the process.
Yeah.
Because once the circle is like, you're the last circle, then everyone's going to be outside. And it's a shooting gallery. And it's a blast.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. So you might be asking, what if the last circle is like not inside? There's like no buildings. Then it's kind of what we said about the rest strat. You'll know where the last circle is before everyone else, hopefully. And what if it's just totally outside in the middle of nowhere? Find a good high ground position and then keep that in mind. And you want to find a building close to that position that you can vibe in until close to last circle, and you'll then rotate to that ridge once the building you're in goes into gas. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So there's a building in second to last circle, but there's no buildings in final circle. So in this case, for example, you would vibe in the building, claymore it up, vibe, and then before final circle happens, you're going to rotate out of that building, go to like a ridge in the final circle. You want to find somewhere that is easy to control, that is also easy to rotate into the final circle from. So if a building is on really high ground and then final circle is lower than you, perfect spot, because it's easy to rotate from high to low, for example.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's a good tip.
Yeah, but sometimes, a lot of times, actually, the final circle won't have any buildings in it. So you're just going to have to adapt and stay safe until that final circle, and then be on the whatever power position there is in that final circle, and you might have to rotate to it from a building. That's a good choice. Other times, there's no buildings in the third circle, let alone the final one. In this case, you want to go straight to the highest point in that circle that you can, which we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Also, throw munitions boxes and armor boxes as needed. Before refilling plates or ammo, make sure to drop all of your ammo or plates on the floor in the building or rooftop that you're on. Use the box, and then you'll have the spare ammo or spare plates just floating around right next to you. This will give you full plates and a couple stacks of extra plates waiting for you should you need them, or ammo. Also, once everyone has used your munitions box or used your armor box, get away from it and shoot it and destroy it yourself. Why? Because if an enemy destroys an armor box, your armor box, you will die. It's like a C4 times 2 if an enemy blows this up.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is blow it up yourself instead, so that that's not an option. For a muni and an armor box, this is true for both of those. Also, you should all have self-res. Don't burn your self-res unless you need to. You're going to use this to speed up and help your teammates res you more quickly. So you start the self-res, You get 90% of the way there, and then your teammate just comes and last taps you. Their res is faster. They spend less time doing it. And you also still have your self-res. Because
this...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to mention this earlier when we were talking about the self-reses. This is also why they're so valuable. Is it's like not only because you can res yourself, but because if you guys are in a pinch and you're fighting another team, if you get downed, if you're somewhere safe, you can res yourself like 95% of the way, stop, and then tell your teammate to tap you. They'll have to res you for less than 1 second, and then they'll be right back, covering you and shooting again and helping you out. So instead of them wasting 5 seconds to sit there and revive you, they don't have to do anything. They can keep shooting, hold down a button for not even a second, and then they're back in action. It works out better for you and for them.
Exactly. And then saving these for when you absolutely have to burn them, which is actually finish the res yourself, is good because, things get weird. Things get wacky in endgame. And some of you might just be dead, and you have to have a self-res because no one else is around to res you. I'm burning. Then you burn it, but you have it. So just, don't burn. So if you're all on a rooftop, don't burn your self-res. Yell at your teammates and make them res you.
Yeah.
So, also, a reminder, we talked about this last week. Don't waste plates if you're sitting on the same roof for 5+ minutes. If you're having a sniper battle on a downtown rooftop and you have all your claymores set up against some other snipers 2 miles away, don't plate up.
Yeah.
Because you're just wasting plates. If they down you, it doesn't matter. You'll get rezzed by your teammate. No one's going to push you. So save the plates if you're in like the sniper battles on the rooftop. But we talked about that a lot last week, so that's that.
Yeah, that's like the prime time of doing this is like mid-game recon strat. That'll happen often if you're sniping people. When you're getting towards the end and people are starting to move into the zone that you're kind of holding, you'll come across that often. So it's pretty simple. Just don't plate up.
Absolutely big true. So, and now we're going to get into the late game recon strat. Again, things are going to go from 0 to 100 real quick. Since you're in the most powerful position on the map, ideally, what's going to happen is many teams are going to be looking to take that building from you. But your strategy is not going to change. Just keep vibing. Keep vibing. Make sure you're waiting for your claymores to pop, and then you'll know someone's there. If they're not popping, keep shooting out. Shoot people as they come to your building to try and take it from you. And then if you can't kill them before they enter the building, then your claymores will alert you if they're actually on the stairs or taking the rappel, etc. But pretty much nothing changes strategy-wise here. In the late game, things will just get more intense. If you can save a precision airstrike or purchase more before the circle relocation occurs that we talked about at the end of the rushing strategy, this can be super useful to kill people who are rotating. Call this precision pretty much directly on where the zones will first overlap, which we again talked about earlier. Same thing here. Timing this precisely and placing it is again sort of an art. But at the very least, you're gonna disallow them from going where they want to go, as Tanner said earlier. And if you can force a down or even get an actual kill, then, I mean, that's best case scenario, of course. But having that precision to just fuck with them is really good. Also, a cluster strike is even better for the circle rotate thing because it's longer area denial. You can think of it like a precision is like a Semtex, whereas a cluster is like a Molotov. And if you can cluster this where the circle will be relocating to, then instead of denying their movement there for 5 seconds, you're denying it for like 12, which is huge in that circle relocate. So if you can buy a cluster because you control perhaps a buy station, that is worth doing. McBango did this for us, and it won us a match of trios. Do you remember this, Tanner?
Which one?
Think of military base favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Walk east, southeast, about 300 meters. And there's some dumb little shit houses there.
Yeah.
That's where we won. It was me, you, and Bango
Oh,
playing
yeah,
threes.
yeah. Okay.
And he called that cluster on the rotate exactly like this, and it won us the game because he got it down. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to start getting clusters more often. I always get precisions. Another thing is, if you're not in an area where you're going to be able to buy one, it's very tempting. Like, let's say there's 40 enemies left. It's very tempting to call in that precision on somebody that you down. And yeah, sure, you maybe get the full kill. But if you're not going to be able to buy one back, that's going to screw you over for endgame. Like, you really need to try your best to hold those for when there's like less than 15 players left. Now, you don't hold on to it too long when you can't use it or forget to use it or end up getting down. But there is such a thing as using it too early and kind of wasting it. Like, sure, yeah, you got the kill, but that guy was probably going to get killed by somebody else soon anyway. So, like, I think you're helping your chances of winning and your overall chances of survival if you wait like as late game as possible to use that airstrike.
Assuming you can't buy another one. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Great point.
If you have like a free buy station that's safe and you can get down to, then sure, go nuts.
Yeah. And then Cam brought up another excellent point, is that with precision airstrikes, you can only have one in the area at a time. Whether it's yours or your enemies, by the way. So if they call one before you, you can't call yours. You're kind of like fucked. With clusters, you can have 150 clusters at the same time going off. So if all of your quads team has a cluster, they can all call it on the same spot at the same time if they wanted to. That would be dumb, but you don't have to worry about other people calling in streaks to call the cluster. That's another advantage of it too. So
yeah,
that's worth mentioning for sure.
That may have been one of those tips that we had thought of earlier this week after we did the episode.
Maybe.
I think that was one of them.
It's possible. It's for sure possible. So, like with the rush strat, again, you also want to get into the final circle while the gas is still in it. So on that circle relocation, get there while gas is there and hold it, as we were mentioning earlier. The sooner you're there, less likely anyone is, and you can turn around and gatekeep their rotation. So as we can see, there is definitely some overlap between succeeding with the rush strat and succeeding with the recon strat, but they are also very considerably different strategies. And again, the rush strat, fewer wins, more kills in general. Recon strat,
for sure,
fewer kills, more difficult to get situated, but if you do, way higher win percentage. But we've gone over the pros and cons. Tanner, that's kind of our little game plan for the recon strat. Did we miss anything? What do you think? Any thoughts?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of people do hate on the recon strat, and people say like, oh, like I just want to get kills. I want to, it's Call of Duty. I want to shoot people. I get it. You just have to realize recon strat is boring for a long time, but when it gets to end game, like it really does pop off in a big way and very quickly. So it gets fun and it makes it all worth it if you win. Now, of course, if you do the recon strat and you lose, it is fucking terrible. It is way worse than doing the rushing strat. But we're explaining both of these ways because these are like the top two ways. So the people that get the most amount, like on the kill leaderboards, those guys obviously play the rush strat. Win leaderboards, the top 10 is all probably recon strat gamers.
Yes.
So it totally depends on your preference. More people probably just want to rush around and get kills. That's fine. But like if you're never winning and you're saying you're having more fun that way, I don't know. Maybe try the recon strat. Maybe you'll find winning to be more fun for you. So we're not saying one way is like necessarily better than the other. They're just different. They're two main ways you can play, and you guys should give them a chance, because I know there's just so many people that hate on the recon strat and how people like Iron and OP marked play, and I really truly do get it. Like, you guys think it's boring, that's fine, but try playing like that. If you guys are getting fucking 20 wins a game like these guys are, I'm sure you'd be having some fun too, right?
Yes, and here's another excellent point on this recon strat hate. I do get it, but a lot of people hate on it because they think it's cheesy and cheap and easy. Go try it, and I guarantee you, you will not have a 60% win rate. It is harder than those guys make it look. How do I know this? I've tried it.
Because you watch Iron and OP Mark stream 60 hours a week.
Yes. Well, sure. But again, like, they make it look very easy. And honestly, once you're all set up, the mid game is like the easiest part. For sure. I can do OP Mark's caliber mid-game recon strat. I can't get there as often, as easily, and as quickly as he can. And I can't actually win the game as well as he can. Because first of all, he's just a better player. He aims his gun better. His game sense is way higher. And also he knows, like, okay, the circle's rotating. I got to do this move. Now I'm going to make a gas play. Now it's dumb to make a gas play. Like, just giant brain shit.
Yeah.
But people think that, like, this recon strat is just so easy, and they compare it to camping, like, second story Nuketown with claymores, which is absolutely not. You try and land on a chopper and do 6 recons and not die.
Yeah.
It's not that easy, dude. Like you were talking about, Tanner. Like, you get ripped by these guys. You're 1v4, you're in a helicopter, it's critical damage. Oh shit, what do I do now? Gotta bail. And then you're parachuting over hospital, just getting beamed by RPDs. It's not that simple. It's actually not that simple. So if you hate on the recon strat because you think it's boring, that's fair. If you think it's boring to watch, okay, that's fair. I have no qualms with that. If you think it's boring to play that way, go try it. Because you're going to get a good amount of kills, and you're also going to win if you do it well. And that's not boring. I hate to break it to you. It's never boring to me when I win a game doing recon strat. Ever. I've never been bored. And usually I get a lot of kills doing it for me, relative to me. Like 10, 12 kills doing recon strat. It's a pretty good game. And I also won. That's great. That's fun. A lot of fun.
That's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But also, again, go try it. If you hate on the recon strat because you think it's too easy, do it yourself. Win 3 games in a day doing the recon strat. And if you can do that, then maybe it is too easy for you. But I bet you won't.
You know who I'd like to see do it? Is Jake and the fucking Rat Squad, who always complain about it. They've never even tried to do it. They could probably try to do it for a week straight and get their asses fucked the whole time.
I absolutely think that's true. No
the Chimp
cappuccino.
Squad, yeah. The Rat's Nest, the Stacking Pests.
The Chimp, yeah, the Chimp Brigade, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think that's true. They would fuck it up. It's harder than people think, dude.
They're dumb.
There really is an art to it. Yes, and they're chimps, so they don't have higher cognitive faculties.
They're all aim, no brain. They're dumb.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So, anyways, that is it for this broadcast. Before we move on here, we hope you guys, of course, enjoyed. We hope you learned a thing or two. As always, let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you learned something. Let us know if you think we were wrong about something. And let us know if you think we forgot something for our own edification. That would be good to know for sure. But again, we hope you guys enjoyed. Special shout out to Pinbeam23 with the Submarino Tier 1, a new frog, because he also just followed. Pinbeam, welcome, sir. Pinbeam23. Thank you for the sub, young man. I appreciate it. Glad to have you here, brother. I hope you've been enjoying the program. Judging by your generous contribution, I would venture to say you are, and I appreciate it, so thank you. Aussie Boy with the 3-man fucking raid and the 2 gifted subs, dude. Let's go. I think he said making it an even 50, which of course we love, support, and appreciate. That is absolutely a let's go. Indeed. Shout out to you, young Aussie boy. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I'm honored, humbled, privileged as always. Good to have you around, young man. And now, the next section of the broadcast, the program, would be iTunes reviews, right? That's what it would be, but it's not, because this has been 3 hours and I want a game. So that's what we're going to do. So I'll wait for Tanner to come back from whatever the fuck he's doing and go live, right? Go live. And then we're going to get some dubs in Verdansk. So thank you guys all for the support this evening. It has been disgusting, actually. Lots of support. This has been definitely an exceptional Saturday afternoon, evening, some might say. And I really appreciate that. What was I going to say? Reminder. Gunfight tournament, Friday, March 26th, 12 o'clock Pacific time. The Dropshot Invitational Gunfight Tournament. What are the specifics? I don't know any of them. Ask Goated Oat in Discord. If you have questions, Goated Oat on Discord. Find him and figure it out. Now, you might say, what is Discord? Great question. Join the fucking Discord. It's in the show notes. Join it. Contact Goated Oat in that Discord, and then he will give you all the details you need to know. But he hasn't fleshed them out quite yet, but he will soon. So, mark your calendars. One thing that is set in stone is the gunfight tournament will be Friday, March 26th, 12 o'clock Pacific time. Afternoon, obviously, not at midnight. And then we'll have more details for you as time goes on. Goated Oat is still figuring those out, but contact him if you're interested. And again, we'll have more details shortly. So with that, that's going to wrap this bitch up. Patreon.com/thedropshot is, of course, the best way to support this program. $5 a month, 4 bonus eps a month, hangouts, and more. See the website for details. But that really is the best way to support the program. It's the best for us. It's the best for you. It's a vibe, as the kids say. So, with that said, sure. Is Tanner Dropshot live on twitch.tv/Tanner Dropshot?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to wrap this bitch up. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Have an excellent evening, of course. And as always, remember, stay humble.
Stay humble.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Dropshot, a Call of Duty podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe, because in addition to full episodes like this, we've also got clips from the show, as well as gameplay breakdowns and more on the channel. The show is streamed live on twitch.tv/Razanon every Wednesday and Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So give us a follow over there. Make sure to turn on notifications and you can chat with us live during the podcast. And of course, we are available wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for the Dropshot on your favorite podcast app and make sure to give us a follow. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. And as always, remember, stay humble.